What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the True Gamer Podcast, a podcast hosted by two gamers for you, the True Gamers. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro, the inverted gamer himself, Sheps. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing better from my sickness. As I just said just before, though, a cough is something I've never been able to get over.
They're hard to shake,
They just keep going. I don't know if it's like the moistness in your throat or something like that. But
I beg you never say moist again.
the thick moistness in my throat just
What?
I just feel it dripping. A warm liquid.
You're going to have to stop. You moist stop.
You moist stop. Hey. But the thing that you guys have seen it in the past as well when I'm sick. The thing that triggers my cough is laughing.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate because part of the shit we do here is comedy. So
I mean, we try.
Yeah, we try.
Well, also as well, because of what we do primarily, you're always around dust or like rubble and shit. So it's stuff that's going to tickle your throat anyway.
Yeah. So
and then what we did before.
And then what we did, that's
going to tickle your throat.
Contributing factor.
Yeah, at least your tongue.
So in this podcast, you might hear a lot of coughing still. So there's that.
Right. So you shook your man flu.
I did. I survived. I'm a survivor, guys.
Right, I could already hear Sabine's eyes rolling at that.
Sabine, Katie.
Yeah, for God's sake.
Fucking idiots.
Man flu.
How are you doing, though? Have you been doing well? Any changes? I don't want to jinx anything by saying anything.
Same as usual. Same as usual.
Thought maybe we can trick some sleep into it.
Yeah, same as usual. I haven't really been doing any gaming, though. Like, have you been playing anything recently? I know you've been dying from playing.
Only a little bit. Only a little bit of gaming. It's just been too much hassle going around at home. The new sofas are coming, so I'm struggling to try and find the space for them because we need to empty out the back. You
still have an old sofa as well.
The old sofas are here. We're going to move those into the garden, so I need to empty out the garden, which was already filled with all of the shit that I used to build the house, basically.
Yeah,
so there's no space there, so I'm struggling with that. I did play because...
Which is how you know... I don't know if you've ever... Just on that note, because you're talking about building the house, right? A skill set that we're in... YouTubers, if you've ever been up at 3 a.m, you're like, how I turned this cracked in into this amazing Airbnb rental or something. You're like, it's 3 a.m, I'm not sleepy, I'll click it.
Yeah.
They show you this process, 6 weeks, the whole thing's done, it's perfect. That was expensive, and not getting the work done, getting the shit removed, because when you do it for real, you pile the lot of it in the back garden where it won't get pinched, or like somewhere, and half of the job is getting rid of the mess you made getting the job done.
Yeah, and it's not easy. It's expensive as well because it's not a job anyone wants to do.
Who wants to do that?
Exactly. It's all just dumb.
Anyway, I just always thought that was like the worst bit of TV.
Yeah.
You know why people move to like YouTube and vlogs? Because they want that realism. Yeah. And now people are not showing that stuff because it's not real. Because they think no one's interested, but it's not real anymore.
No.
It always burns me up. I'm like, that's not right.
No, it's not. The only little bit of gaming I have been doing is a very small amount. The Battlefield 2042 had an update. Yeah. I heard on Twitter that it wasn't that good, and then I saw some people saying that they were having a lot of fun with it. I went into it, and the new map is very cool. It's a very cool, it's almost like there was a base built into the side of a cliff, and then in two very specific spots there was like either a landslide or something like that cut through the base. Okay. Very, very cool. That's cool. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and a lot of the bullshit has gone.
Okay, because
I don't know if it's fixed.
Like on Discord, because your thing's linked. I see that you're playing it a bunch.
I don't know if it's fixed, but I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've only played maybe about 20 matches, but they've been pretty good. And I haven't encountered, like I said, the bullshit where it's like, I totally hit that guy and I didn't die or something like that. But seems to be pretty good. I'm not willing to go on paper and put my good name, SuperTuber Eddie.
Right, you put your cachet towards it.
Exactly. People look to me and they go, this guy, he knows what he's talking about. Right. I'm not willing to put my name down on it yet and say it's all fixed. But it's looking good so far.
I'm still jaded from the, when it came out, the launch, and it just nothing worked.
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't some company's first shooter. It's DICE. Yes. You know, they came off the back of Battlefront 2, which... it had a rough start, but was an incredible game at the end. And the last Battlefield worked. You know, this is something they should be able to churn out. And, that really bugged me. So I feel like we're getting a lot of developer disappointment
Do you know what's funny as well? There was an article that came out recently that was like, why are games getting delayed? And apparently internally between studios, everyone's scared of the cyberpunk effect now, of like how the game's going to come out and it's totally not ready. So it's much better to delay than suffer what they did.
Except still one of the problems with cyberpunk was all the delays.
There is that as well. There is that as well.
Yeah, so it's like half a dozen, or 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Seems like a stupid logic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Speaking of stupid people, though,
I was finding a way there as well.
We're both looking for it. If you ever look at the video, you need to just they're thinking something.
Yeah, they're trying to insult something. How are they gonna?
Speaking of stupid people, our bros over at patreon.com/Conbrosations who support us at the $15 tier are super bros. Our great people who keep this show going are as follows: Diogo Dildo, Isak the Ultimate Cumsock, Sabine from Smallville, the Star Wars Encyclopedia, Adam Sunling, Catsper the Friendly Patron, Jeremy Renner, that's right, an official Avenger, Super Sus Ben Fryer, the Filthy Thief Fanatic, Joe McCormack Clark, the 53rd, the Super Sexy Producer Sean, the Fakest Bat Fan, the Batfish, Mikey T, the Gamer Giant, and Kevin, the #1 sim.
You're totally going to cough in it.
I need to cough. Damn it.
I saw that confidence and then that immediate crack of like, you're like, yeah, oh no.
Oh dear God. Oh dear Jesus. Of Halo Infinite's TV series, which apparently was like the second biggest show ever to come out on Paramount Plus. What else has been out on Paramount Plus?
First of all, I legit thought that was their launching show.
I thought that was as well.
So maybe it's like, oh, imagine they've come up with 2 shows and it was the second biggest. Also,
that would be terrible. That'd be awful.
I understand from a business rewind. I understand from a business perspective that they need to push it and stuff and try to make the money on it. But I've been seeing a bunch of like sponsored streams of people watching at least the first episode on Twitch and stuff like that, and I'm just like, you messed it up. You need just. You saw what happened when people strayed from the source material with 343.
Yeah.
Stick to the source material, and you'll. I just. Anyway.
We'll see how The Last of Us turns out. That's clearly going to work, right?
Yeah.
And then God of War, and then GT7, and then Horizon Zero Dawn, and all of the other ones that totally need to happen. Twisted Metal, great. It's going to be fantastic.
Why?
On today's show, bro.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about apparently new official gaming monitors being made by Sony, as well as new official headsets being made. New Final Fantasy games are on the way. The future of Halo Infinite may have just been leaked, and it's not.
I don't care what you have to say. Is there a number 9 on that?
Is there what?
Is there a number 9 on that Final Fantasy games list? And how confirmed is it? I did stop the show. I really don't like. We can stop the show here. We'll start.
I kind of want to say, but I don't want to say.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
If you see me like.
You know what's going on, guys.
I'm not going to Google. I'm desperate to Google it. I actually hadn't heard. I tried to stay away from it because...
Don't Google it.
Oh, Final Fantasy 7 Part 2. No, shut up.
And last week's anniversary of The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk all about how that game has been, how we feel about it now.
Yeah.
And the topic of the show, a brand new official PlayStation 5 Pro Controller might be being made and being revealed very, very soon.
Sick.
So, I'm going to kick it over to Tom Henderson, who wrote an article. He's a freelancer at the moment, but he gets a lot of leaks. And he wrote an article over at tryhardguides.com. He wrote an article titled Official PlayStation 5 Pro Controllers Coming Soon, Hardware Details. He goes, Sony is working on a genuine professional controller for the PlayStation 5, and the company will reveal the hardware within the coming weeks, sources say.
Interesting.
Very soon, that's pretty good. It's believed the code name for the controller is called Hunt, which will have several interesting features, including removable analog sticks, trigger stops, and rear buttons like flappy paddles.
Yeah.
So he goes into a bit more detail, and I want to read this out, and then we can discuss how we feel about it and stuff like that. These claims of such a hardware come alongside pictures of the alleged prototype. He says, which has been set under the condition that the pictures not be published. So he's seen it, but can't publish it. And the source remains anonymous. Pictures of the controller keep the classic PlayStation 5 style, but show a few key differences. One of the biggest changes is buttons under the analog sticks, which allow you to completely remove the analog sticks and their components, which refers to them as removable stick units. So the whole unit apparently can come out.
Okay,
not just the stick on top.
You know, on the PS1 where it's got that like those little boobs, you can just sort of pull that out.
It's almost, it seems like something like that, right? Obviously, the style's a bit different.
I don't know why you'd ever want to do that.
Well, they say one thing. So this presumably means you'll be able to You'll just be able to. Oh, so this presumably means you'll just be able to be a stick unit. Okay, that's a very weird word. I think it's made a mistake. Remove the stick unit rather than get a new controller if it develops stick drift. Seems like a very small problem to have such a big solution for.
Yeah. Right? That seems like a massive amount of engineering for.
We'll see what happens. It's possible there's other ideas, and we'll talk about that in a second. Another feature is trigger stops at the back of the controller, which essentially limits the amount of movement that you can put into a thing. Usually for FPS games, it's like just enough to make the fire animation.
All of this stuff sounds like it's mostly for FPS. If you're playing something like God of War, it's not worth getting.
So far, that was. Let's jump ahead. Let me finish this off. In addition to flappy paddles / buttons that have become increasingly popular over the years, and for companies such as Scuff Gaming and Nako such controllers, the prototype features grips to help you hold the controller, which also seem removable.
That's cool. That's good.
Yeah. According to the same source, it's also been said that the PS5 controller, which was referred to as a PS5 Pro Controller in casual conversation, will also have significant software updates. It's unclear exactly when the new controller will be revealed, with the source simply saying it will be soon. However, it's understood by several sources that Sony are set to unveil several new bits of hardware at the end of this month. Not a new console, it says in brackets there.
I wonder if there's anything...
So yeah, that's that happening.
With the removable analog sticks, I wonder if there's anything they have planned for like the PSVR 2.
Possibly. There's a bunch
of things. 6-axis. It's what we've all been asking for.
Removable 6-axis.
Right, you're going to make all these TV shows that not on once. Give us a 6-axis and not on once.
Bring it all back. How do you feel about a Pro controller? Similar to what Xbox has done with their Elite 2, Elite Series controller. What's your feelings off of the top of that? What's going on in your head?
Off the top of my head, it's a great idea that should be third on the list.
Right.
First on the list should be my customizable shell. That's what I want. Right? And I think it's relevant to say that because they're getting into another niche of like their own hardware.
Yeah.
What I want more than that, as someone that appreciates this stuff and has bought scuff controls in the past, I want my Last of Us, I want my Horizon, my God of War covers, I want my hydro-dipped Horizon DS5. That's what they should really be doing. They'd clean up with that. However, I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
I especially if you're playing stuff like FPS games, where the big deal with the flappy paddles on the back is that you don't have to take your thumbs off the analog sticks to jump, so you can still look around. It really helps you a lot.
It's all mappable, isn't it? So like you can dedicate a button rather than it being circled all the way over here. You can put it to the back and then where your fingers naturally lie. While you say that, I'm going to grab one of the controllers so I can I grab two actually, so you can hold one and show stuff.
I mean, I'm pretty familiar with a DS5, but okay, you can.
Are you familiar with the controller, bro? I'm thinking more for the
for example, you know, you've got the deep purple and the epic blue or whatever these are called, lightning blue or whatever. Like. These are cool. This is a cool thing to do, and also you get the PS5 covers for it.
Yeah.
But it's 4 colors, 5 colors.
Yeah.
Right. I want a Red Dead Redemption 2 one. I don't want that. No, only a loser would want that. But give me my Ghost of Tsushima.
On that, I think a custom set of like covers or limited edition Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, Last of Us versions of them. I think there's a bigger market for those than there are for this.
Absolutely.
I do appreciate this, and I'll tell you all the reasons and stuff I like about it.
I would get my Ghost of Tsushima DS5 Pro.
Right.
But I want the Ghost of Tsushima DS5 more than a DS5 Pro.
I think there's a much bigger market for that than there are for this.
Massively.
People collect consoles. Oh, fucking, I'm the one of them dickheads over there.
Oh, I found all my old Xboxes. I found my N64. I found all my old PlayStations the other day, yeah.
There's a ton of people that collect controllers. They just love the look of custom controllers. Having that official feel, but a bit custom on it. And there's a much bigger market for that. Maybe this, just the existence of a Pro Controller, is indicative that they're more open up to doing things like you're saying.
Hopefully they'll realise, yeah.
And it does say a few hardware things to be revealed. It could be they're going to go, all right, guys, we've got God of War Ragnarok's coming out. We're coming out with God of War thing. The Last of Us Part 1 remake is coming out. We've got a Last of Us coming out.
That's what I want.
And while we're doing it, we're making a Pro Controller at the same time. So maybe that's what's happening. But yeah.
One thing I think people are going to overlook those removable grips.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big difference. Again, this is more for FPS type stuff, but
I'm imagining it's like around the hand parts, right? Like the back and then the thing part.
I'm also thinking these paddles are likely to jut out a bit and come underneath because just the way your hand lies, you wouldn't want to go in here. You'd have to hook around under here somewhere.
Yeah, I think on the scuff controllers and stuff like that,
they come down.
They're like around here, if you guys can see.
So it's like a little bar. Imagine my fingers are a black plastic bar. It would go like that, and the actual button's quite small, and that's what you press to activate it.
There you go.
I don't know if you guys saw that, but it's really useful. For playing, and that's what all the pro guys that play on controllers use. Is like scuff.
Yeah.
It's cool, and those grips are going to be really important because when you are sweating it up, your hands do get sweaty. You do lose grip and stuff like that. Did you remember that theory that the material for this was dog noses? Yes!
It just looked like a dog nose, didn't it? Rest in peace, all those dogs.
The thing is, again, I just looked at this and realised that more than this Pro Controller, what I want is the colours back on my buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really just... Seriously. Like, and I'm someone that will buy it for the flappy paddles and all that stuff. I want these more. I want it more.
Do you have anything else you want to say about this controller? So I'm interested in this controller. I don't think it's for me. I'm not an FPS guy really anymore. I play a few. I did just mention I play in Battlefield 2042,
but not seriously enough to spend like £120, whatever it is.
That was going to be my final point. I think it's going to be. I feel like it will be good. PlayStation have never done anything like this before, so it's their first iteration. Could it be gold right out of the gate? Maybe. Could it be crap? Likely. I mean, that's just the way it is with first iterations of things.
Especially with this controller already having issues like with stick drift. And
exactly. I mean, they've made a pretty decent controller in terms of features.
I actually love it. So, it's the right size. I love the DualSense.
Right, all the like haptics and stuff like that. And also the trigger stops thing, kind of, I'm guessing it would have to remove the motor inside the thing.
Almost certainly, yeah. But
it's counterintuitive.
You don't want that for FPS games.
Exactly.
Which means you need two controllers.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, the idea of if you like to do anything other than play FPS games, let's say you're going to buy a PS5 Pro or whatever, and it comes with a PS5 Pro controller, you're going to need to get a regular DS5 if you want to play God of War.
And they're not cheap, like 60 quid, these fucking things.
Which isn't bad considering everything you get.
True. But, like you said, it's not really for me in terms of a thing. And I have to assume, a bit like the Elite Series controller, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, it's not going to be cheap.
Because it will have all of this like extra tech and something that I don't think on the Elite Series controller, you can remove the D-pad to put a more like efficient D-pad on it, and I think you can remove the sticks on them as well to replace the sticks, but you can't remove the stick unit, which is like the whole mechanism behind it. And I don't know what the thought is for that. Are they going to have more fine-tuned pro versions of them or something?
I don't know, man.
I can't believe it's what Tom Henderson said, where it's like, in case stick drift happens, then you can replace it, because that's such a... It doesn't happen as often as like every 2 months you get it or something like that, so you need to replace it. It's not a set of tires.
I mean, he's making it sound like this is a case of like pull the drift unit out, N64, blow on the card, stick it back in. So I don't exactly know what the thing is. What he's doing is trying to describe a picture of something he has only just seen. So we'll have to wait to see what the pictures look like. I think, but I mean. I'm not interested in the stick drift anyway, in general. Like, my a DS5 has stick drift, and it, while annoying, it's never been a problem. It's never been a problem playing Apex. It's never been a problem playing God of War.
I've been so lucky. I've never had stick drift in any of my controllers.
And also,
I've accepted it's a real thing.
It's intermittent as well. Like, it's not always there. And, like, sometimes I'll notice it. Like, if I put my controller down and go to grab a drink, I'll notice my character's doing this.
But,
like, when I'm using it and it's getting input, it's not a thing. It's not a problem.
Is your girlfriend using that as a coaster as well? Is that why?
Goddamn bitch. She's probably using it as, like, a pillow or something.
Could be. I'm interested to see what happens with this. I'm more interested in the flappy paddles and the trigger stops at the back.
Yeah.
I'm
that
curious.
Will ruin the haptic.
It will, unfortunately.
But then that's the thing. If they're going to do that, then they can remove the haptic and save money, right?
That's a good thing, because the people in the pro community, they don't care about that kind of stuff.
No, you turn it all off. It gets in the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They want something to just respond to their feedback, not give them feedback, right? I'm curious though what the units are.
That's got me.
I don't believe it's just to do with the stick drift. I need to know what it's all
Also,
about.
what's the price on an analog stick, and do you have to buy them left or right?
Right, and oh man, that's good. Someone came up with an idea, and they
imagine
thought
it's
that
like socks, and you just always can never get a hold of a left one.
The left one is always out of stock somewhere. So fuck, damn it. Oh, it might be like that, because I assume there'll be a mold around it, and it might be like, right? To do like a different
unless
shape.
they change it to more of like a somewhat PS1 style, in the sense that like that shape is universal, so it's just one analog stick that you can buy. However, I mean, a little bit of me thinks it would be funny for the memes.
Yeah.
But what would actually happen is all the freaking scalpers would just go and buy all the left analog sticks, and then they'd triple the price of them.
Don't give them the ideas, because now they're thinking about it.
As if scalpers care about gaming and watch a gaming podcast.
It's true. They don't actually care about games. They're just there fucking with our lives.
Facts.
What else is I going to mention here? It says within the next coming weeks, there is a rumor going round that apparently at the end of June, which we are in the last week of now, there is going to be a PlayStation State of Play to reveal stuff. We don't know what it will reveal. There's theories going around that God of War Ragnarok will get its release date. What do you think the likelihoods of it being a God of War Ragnarok State of Play and revealing like a bunch of hardware stuff at the same time?
A little bit of me thinks they could go, and all the stuff you can play Ragnarok, use the stuff to play Ragnarok, but it's not stuff you would use to play Ragnarok, so that seems silly to me.
Yeah.
I suspect it's going to be one or the other. It doesn't seem likely to me to do what to do. Also, I think of the two, I want more people interested in the Ragnarok info than...
I feel like Ragnarok as well is more important at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, you need to get that release day out, mate. You need to tell people what's going on.
And like the audience that would care about a Pro Controller would like that is very niche, and the really competitive guys, the guys that really care, they're not playing on console. They might use a controller, but they're playing on PC.
Yeah.
So, how big is that niche? I don't really know.
It's a puzzling one.
What would really be bad is if they make it, it's not super popular, and then they go, no one wants all this custom stuff, and don't give us our custom covers. Motherfuckers.
Mother trucker. I'm just going to check the Xbox Series... the Xbox Elite Controller, that's it. Elite Controller 2. So, how much is the Elite Controller 2? And what is its features? £160, probably around $200 in the US.
That seems high. I'm going to Google what a SCUF controller is.
You have a look at that, and I'll have a look at this at the moment. So, ooh, it comes with a nice case.
Yeah, okay, SCUF controller's right around £200.
£200, okay. All right, so it comes with a bunch of stuff. So it comes with a case first of all. It comes with it charges within the case. That's pretty neat as well. So it's got like a block that goes on the back of the controller, and it looks like you plug a charger into the case, and then you put your controller in the case, and it charges it that way, which is really nice. Comes with all detachable sticks and back paddle buttons and a D-pad. Looks pretty cool. That's probably why it's so expensive.
Yeah.
But people still buy a lot of Elite controllers. The only thing about the Elite controller is I hear the build quality is quite bad on it. I hear the build quality is quite bad. I always see posts on like the Xbox subreddit saying that this button's broken, that button's broken. But also I hear that Microsoft's customer service is quite good as well, that they usually say, oh, if it's been warranty, they're just like, cool, we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it. If it goes outside of warranty, like any other company, they're just like, nah, fuck off.
Yeah,
I don't care about you. But £160. £160 for PlayStation 5 Pro Controller. Would you buy one?
No.
It's a bit much, isn't it?
Nah. This is the thing. I think you can gut it for all the haptic stuff. So if you come in around 100 to 120, I'll be tempted. As a loser who plays Apex once every 2 weeks. But not much more than that. Although I did look at Scuff and they do have a Conbrosations orange.
Oi, okay, all right. Now you're talking my language.
Yeah. Looks pretty good, but
160 for me. This is the problem. We're not again, a bit like PlayStation Plus subscription. We're not the target audience for this. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be for me. I think it's going to be nice for the people who want to play with a Pro Controller and want to have these features. I think it would still sell at 160 though.
I think it would.
But I never found the Elite controller interesting to me. I never found a Scuff controller personally interesting
that
to
Scuff's $215.
Much more expensive right there.
So, I mean, 160. I think 160 is out of my range for what I'd be willing to spend as a guy. The thing is, though, if this was back in the days when we were playing COD, if we were there now, yeah, I would. I
bought a modded controller back in the day because I was so into Call of Duty.
Oh yeah,
it was when I used to like playing, was it the MK14, the single shot high damage thing like that. I was like, cool, I'll just buy a modded controller and it constantly shoots and then it's like an automatic and I don't need to worry about high damage and high rounds per second.
So that's why you like that gun.
And I was the best COD player in the world because of it.
It's true, you were the best in the world.
In the world. I still sucked ass. But that's just what I'm trying to say, is that if I was an FPS gamer and that was my thing, then I might be all over this. But as someone who isn't, I think it's a very expensive controller.
As a much more casual FPS player, I think it's got to be under 160 for me. Probably 120 I'll buy it. And I think they can get there because they can gut the haptic. No one wants haptic in this.
This is the problem. I don't know if they can go back. That's the issue. Because I feel like I agree with you. The people in the FPS community don't want it, and they'd be happy if you take it out. That's fine.
Just makes the controller heavier.
It's true. But it's like going, this is a Pro Controller, insinuating that it's more than the previous one, but it's missing these features.
What they should do is rebrand it as like FPS Pro and RPG Pro.
Ooh, there we go.
And then... But then, if they can bring...
Take out the Pro, just put FPS.
Yeah, FPS and RPG. Yeah.
That's it. It's like DualSense FPS. Done, and that's what it's called right there.
Yeah. Well,
that makes more sense to me.
Although maybe you can't use DualSense because that's mostly to do with the haptic feedback stuff. But you just call it an FPS Pro and it comes... Like, features that it comes with, the back paddles, trigger stops, removable grips, sort of stuff. RPG... patented DualSense technology for the most immersive, blah, blah, blah. That's the way to brand this still. And then because they can gut the haptic stuff, maybe they can get it to close to 100, and then that's a much more interesting proposition and a really good marketing thing.
Let's be honest, guys. PlayStation, I know you're listening. Forget about this whole Pro Controller nonsense.
Listen to this man.
That. Just bring us
Shuhei.
Just bring us, exactly, Shuhei, you're listening. Just bring us the custom controllers. Give us a God of War Ragnarok themed one. Give us Ragnarok themed panels for our console as well. That's all we need. All right. Don't make me laugh. I'll cough otherwise.
That's really what I want. Like, again, I think I'd be way more excited about this if this was us in 2011 or whenever Blops was out, and we were just playing all the time. Right now, what I want is I want my PS5 to have custom panels, and for that blue light to be on when I frickin' play. You know, that's and I would actually pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we're both in the same boat. But hopefully it tips them down that path of like, actually there is more of a customer base here. We can make more money by giving more products that are wanted, and one of those is custom panels and custom controllers.
Yeah.
Why not? You know,
they might make it, because right now you can't actually customize these. I was gonna say maybe they would invent a way to make it more customizable, that you can remove like whole panels, whole sections, but you then suffer the integrity of the whole controller if it can just pop off like
want
that.
It to be
the way it is now is unfortunately, I think, probably gonna be the best solution.
It's so nice. Yeah, the way it is now is really good.
Oh yeah.
I think they're starting to move in the right direction though. They've done 5 colors for the PS5 and DS5s.
Yep.
Now they're doing DS5 Pros.
Yeah.
Like, it's moving where we want it to go. It's just not the right products, you know?
And it's glacial at the moment.
Yeah, so slow.
But Xbox over here with the whole design lab.
Innit? No one's buying their freaking consoles. Just a minor laugh and I'm already
fuck this throat. Wait, hold
on. That's what got into this problem in the first place.
Okay. Forgetting our things aside, I do think it's interesting they're bringing this out. I like the PlayStation's moving forward with different types of hardware, stuff like that. I'm curious to see how good it will be when it comes out.
Yeah, if it flops, that'll be really bad.
It will be really bad because PlayStation aren't taking too many chances. They're doing a lot of safe bets with their IPs, with everything like that. They made the powerful.
You say that they're making 7 shows.
Solid point right there. I don't know why they're doing that.
Shuhei gets drunk and in a gambling mood, and someone's like, "I'm all in. Oh, I can't cover you." Okay, Shuhei, what have you got?
What have you got?
Here, and I owe you
Jim Ryan
7 shows of your choosing. Boom, and he lost. Why'd you go in with 6-2 off?
Damn it! I thought nothing could beat that. But I'm interested to see it when it gets revealed. I'd like to believe there's a state of play coming and we get to see it. I'm curious. Curious. I like to see new things, and I'm wondering what all this other new tech apparently are going to reveal is. They've still got the PSVR 2 to properly showcase, and they still haven't done that.
And that's weird as well. It's like that and the DS5 Pro, then they don't relate unless the removable sticks relate somehow to an input device for that. But again, I'm more interested in the haptic controller. So showing off the new tech, these are 2 totally non-relating items.
Yeah.
So I think they should get different events personally.
Yeah. And that's how PlayStation has been until now. They've always had like dedicated events for different things. Like they didn't even put God of War Ragnarok in with the state of play previously. They didn't even put The Last of Us remake in with the state of play previously, which everyone was looking to PlayStation for.
They do some weird stuff.
Very weird. PlayStation's always been so fucking weird, and I don't understand it. But anyway, that's apparently coming later this month. We hope to see that soon. Yeah, let us know in the comment section if you're excited for a Pro Controller right there. Bro, this is the True Gamer Podcast. Coming to your eyes and ears every Saturday here at youtube.com/Conbrosations1. And also on podcast services around the world. If you guys like what we do here, you can head over to those podcast services or on YouTube and search for the True Gamer Podcast and find our faces and our voices. That's where you can find
That's
them.
right.
Thanks so much. If you like what we do and you're over on YouTube, you can hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell for occasional notifications of when we make videos, because YouTube just does that so weirdly. And
I got one that was 4 days late.
Thank you, YouTube. Thank you so much for everything you do. Fucking bastards. And also, if you're on podcast services and you do like what we do, you can rate us 5 stars over on Spotify, over on Apple Podcasts. It helps us out. Thank you guys so much that you do. So many people already have. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you want to take your support that extra mile, though, if you want to go that one step further, if you want to go and stretch, just go, I want to be closer to Eddie and Sheps, you can head over to patreon.com/Conbrosations and kick us a couple of bucks a month, where you can get exclusive benefits as well as support the show.
Right.
Exclusive benefits like an exclusive podcast called the Conbrosations Podcast, which is recording next week for you guys. As well as that, you can get this podcast the day it's recorded, earlier, before everyone else over on YouTube.
Sit in the live chat like these peasants.
Exactly.
Including us most of the time.
But yeah, most of the time it is. And you can have your name read out as a true gamer at the $5 tier. Just like...
You set it up.
Adam the High Quality Potato. I was this close away from it. It was so close to being seamless. I'm dying. Why am I doing this? Adam the High Quality Potato, Jeremy Horde, Sheps' Krusty Right Nut, Isak Manny, The Bat Fan, Adam the Sunling, Adam Sunling, Clark the 53, Mikey T, Catsper Coral, Sab2557, Joe McCormack, Super Whale Ben, The Boys season what? The Boys?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Gams Master, Make Nice Guys, please for the love of holy fuck Hollywood, Gerald Tucker, Fishy the Jackal, Alpha Aquilele, Max H, and Make Bindis Mod. Thank you guys so much for keeping the lights and mics on and the gaming going here at Conbrosations.
By the way,
go on.
Both of you Adams, I expect another $5. I got 2 shout-outs.
Sorry, yeah, you did. That's on you.
We don't make the rules.
That's on you guys.
You know?
If you guys don't want to support us financially, though, that's okay. We appreciate you guys being here, just loving. Maybe you don't think we're worth it. That's totally. I don't think we're worth it.
I wouldn't pay for this.
I don't understand. There's 50 odd of you guys that somehow do. Weirdos, losers, the lot of you. Yeah. If you guys don't, that's fine. We still appreciate you just being here and watching and commenting and saying hi. You know, leaving an engaging comment, as Shep says. And
that's right.
Alpha always does.
I hate that frickin' guy.
That guy's a fucker, isn't he?
Quote, an engaging comment, end quote, does not count.
All right. Let's begin with our next topic.
You said let's begin because you started the
I started
the
it almost
timestamp.
Yeah, that's what I did, yeah. Words and stuff. You guys know how it is. I'm ill. That's my excuse. Let's move into our next topic. The Last of Us Part 2 just turned 2 years old a couple of days ago. And it went around on Twitter. Everyone was reminiscing about their favourite parts of the game. I did my own little bit. And I asked everybody in the community, is it sort of a change of pace for us to just talk about gaming in a game that a lot of us love? Let's just talk about The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah,
and
man.
whether or not it's changed in our minds or how we feel about it today in 2022. Bro, tell me how you feel about The Last of Us Part 2.
It's a really strange one for anybody that hasn't played. I've said this before, and a lot of people that never played it are like, why would I want to play that then? I loved the game. It was emotionally taxing in a way that like I've never experienced before, where after I finished, because I banged it out to get it ready for us to do a thing. Yes. So I played it over the course of like, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, just back to back, putting in long sessions. I needed like 3 days off from gaming afterwards. Not because I was gaming so much. I just needed 3 days to recharge, like emotionally. Yeah. It was amazing, though. It was such a great experience. So we've said it's got flaws, like in the story and stuff. And I want to play. I'm not gonna. Not for a while, but I want to play it again. I think if it gets, like, The Last of Us 2 remastered or something, or upmastered or whatever, you know, I think I'll jump back on it. Yeah. But it's one of those games that it's so incredible, but like I feel like I'm still full from the last time. You know, like if it was
even
a meal
2 years later. Ooh.
Yeah. I don't have any desperate need to replay any specific thing. It was just so good. James replayed it recently.
Yes, he did.
And I turned up for a couple of things, and I was like, man, I'm already feeling it. I'm glad you want to play it, but I can't do it yet, you know? But I would say it's one of the best games ever made.
Yeah.
So good, yeah. I still need another year, though. What about you?
So I am similar to you, where I loved the game. Again, I believe it has flaws, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I've got some stuff I want to say about that as well. And I haven't played it since I played it as well. It was emotionally taxing, like you said. It drained me, and it made me feel something that I haven't felt in video games before. I didn't know video games could go to that level, could go to that place that it did. And that was one of the questions that came out when the game finished. It was like, we can do this kind of stuff in movies. Why can't we do it in video games? Okay. Video games, in some ways, can be like movies as well.
I've never experienced a movie that's made me that emotionally engaged, let's say.
I've had some, in my opinion, but...
What movies?
Trying to think right now, what movie has made me feel like that?
Other than, obviously, Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, yeah, Top Gun Maverick. Sorry, Maverick.
Of course, yeah.
I have to remove that one. Nothing springs to mind right now.
Yeah.
Oddly. Anyway.
Yeah.
What was I saying? We can do this kind of thing in movies. Why can't we do this kind of thing in video games? Because previous to that, video games were supposed to be fun, and that's what it was supposed to be. And I guess I can imagine this being a pitch in the room. It's like, what if we made a video game that destroyed you?
Yeah.
And people were like, video games are supposed to be like a happy sort of fun enjoyment type thing, and maybe you get some feels every now and again, but not destroy you. What do you mean?
I imagine a pitch in the 80s. It's like, okay, it's Mrs. Pac-Man. I want to pitch Mr. Pac-Man, but he comes home and he finds his wife's just been gobbling other
ball things.
Balls. You know, and the game is you play through his divorce.
Ooh, that's an emotional one.
I feel like The Last of Us did this, but not quite to the extent, right? Like that opening sequence. I'm not going to ruin it for anyone because the remake's coming out soon, but that opening sequence is something I never thought I would experience in games.
Yes.
That was hardcore. The way that you end it by giving the brave heroes of the NHS what they deserve at the end.
What they deserve, yeah.
Right? Wow.
You want to... It's like, we'll all come out on Thursday and we'll clap. I'll do them one better.
Right. I'll make it so you never need to clap again.
Exactly.
So, God. I feel like The Last of Us 1, by the way, one of my favourite games of all time, went there, whereas Last of Us 2 stayed there. Do you know what I mean?
This was a thought I was having as well. I was like, remember when the rumors of Ragnarok started to happen?
Yeah.
It was like, how can Ragnarok possibly compete with God of War 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the greatest game of all time. I said it objectively now, so you can't disagree.
It's true.
How is it going to compete? How is it going to be better than God of War 1? How's Ragnarok going to be better than 1? And there was the same sort of feeling. Granted, I feel like we've matured very quite quickly over the past couple, like say 4 or 5 years and whatnot. And when Last of Us came out, first of all, we liked it and it was great, but we wasn't the seasoned gamers we are now.
True.
So we didn't have the same sort of thought. However, Last of Us Part 2 did what Ragnarok we're hoping is going to do to the first one.
Yeah.
How did they even manage that? That was a pretty fucking monumental task.
It's pretty ballsy as well.
Right, and I wouldn't have took that job. That's all I'm saying, because I'm just not good enough to do that kind of thing.
How do you think that meeting went? Where he's like, I want to kill Joel immediately.
We should say spoilers for 2. 2 years now. Come on now.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. That is a tough pitch.
Like, how many people do you think came back and were like, I know what you're saying, but let me pitch you the game, but we don't kill Joel?
I'm going to pitch you a game where we don't kill the favourite character.
Right. Let's not kill Dad. You know? So I bet there were versions of it, great story versions of it, without that. But I think, for example, if it had been Tommy that died and Joel was crippled or whatever.
Yeah.
Tommy gets shot in the knee, right? So
I think he does, yeah.
So he can't come. So let's say those roles have been switched, and they're going after these people because of Tommy. I wouldn't have been as invested.
Yes.
Right?
It would have been a completely different emotional state.
Right.
You was destroyed from that moment onwards, and you were trying to... Even I was trying to look for vengeance.
Yeah.
That's what I was feeling throughout my entire playthrough. I wouldn't have felt that if it was Tommy.
Right. Like, I would never have gone, when you fall down in the theatre or whatever.
Yeah.
I let Ellie kill Abby a bunch of times. You're playing as Abby and you're fighting Ellie. I was like, no, Abby deserves this.
It's like, and he kills you. It's like, oh no. Well, that's the end of the game, guys. Justice had been served.
What a weird way. That's such an experimental thing to make me play as the villain at the end of the game and get my cheeks clapped. You know, like. So, I've never done that before.
Yeah.
So, I think they kind of had to. It's got on everybody's nerves, but like, what else were you gonna do?
Yeah, I don't really see another option really to make it impactful,
right?
To a point that it actually, because nobody said, oh, this is a massive step down. Granted, there were idiots out there who didn't understand things, or they were looking to hate just because Joel was dead, or the existence of Abby, or something also, like that.
Anybody that got to the first flashback in the museum and got through that and then went, I'm not invested, doesn't get the game. I don't want to hear your opinion on it. No. And that's what I watched you stream it because we weren't sure about it, so we decided to game share, but we got the physical disc, so I had to wait for you to finish. I watched you stream like the first 4 hours of it, or however long it was. You got to that scene and I said, literally as soon as that happened, I said, okay, The Last of Us is intact. I'm out. I don't want any spoilers. That one scene, I was like, they understand the relationship. I'm sure we're going to get to know Joel now that he's gone. And there's all this tension between him and Ellie, which is part of that really distraught emotional stuff, is that they had this stuff that needed to be settled and they couldn't settle it. You know?
Which really sucked. But
that's what made it so good, isn't it? Yeah. And that's what made those flashbacks so important. So
that final flashback,
it's so rough because they were getting back together.
It was proof that things were on the mend, that this wasn't unsalvageable like we maybe had thought before. Fuck. God, and I'm also feeling it just.
It's so good, and like I love the fact that Joel's sorry that he hurt Ellie, but he wouldn't do it any different. Right? He all but said, "I lost one daughter. I wasn't willing to lose two, a second one." Right? That's he basically says it.
I don't understand how people could also understand this. I feel like that was universally understood why he did it and stuff like that. But they can't understand, like, Man of Steel, for example, like how Jonathan Kent is and things like that. So, anyway, that's
the dumbest
side note.
Let's just quickly go over it. Jonathan Kent, there's a big hurricane. Clark...
Not even that bit. Well, that's one thing, but go on, say what you're going to say.
They're like, he dies and he could have let Clark could have flown through and saved him. No, everybody was looking. He would have been revealed. Yeah. Right? Someone would have noticed. There was no getting out of it. Or that seems perfect.
The thing that I was thinking was the what was it, the
on the mountain.
No, where he's like where he saves the busload of kids, and then he's like, what was I supposed to do? Let all the kids die? And he says maybe. It's not maybe. Jonathan is actually considering maybe kids should die. He's thinking, fuck, I don't want you to be hurt, and I don't want you to be probed and taken by the government and ripped apart to be studied, and then I don't want people to use us against you because they find out who we are in relation to you. That's what he's thinking. Not, oh no, we should just let kids die. No, that's not what he's thinking.
What he's really saying is tragedies happen. If it had been like a landslide or something and you weren't there, they would have died. It happens. Maybe it's not your responsibility to save everyone. You're my boy. And so, yes, exactly. It's that exact same thing.
It's just a father thinking of a son. Just like with the Joel and Ellie, and that's all he's thinking about in that moment. Anyway, little sidetrack right there.
What about Abby? Let's talk about Abby.
Yes. So there are only some parts of the game that I think could be changed and have problems. Unfortunately, one of the biggest ones is Abby.
Yes.
I think Abby's a fine character.
I think she's really good, and they did a really good job of making her like interesting and relatable.
Yeah. There was one time where I was worried that her whole entire personality, like in terms of her fitness and her being like a big muscular chick, was all based on her anger for thing. But she was into fitness before, so it was just more like an additional thing on top. I was like, okay, they did that well and stuff like that. It's just the whole idea of them trying to force this feeling of Abby being a decent person, actually, but she just wanted revenge for the killing of her father. just didn't sit right with me because it was being forced into me rather than it being organically done or even giving something truly compelling.
It's because they said they had spent so much time with her as a kid and in the hospital, and you're like, man, if you're having to work this hard to show it, because what people I think forget is Ellie isn't what you would call a good person either. Joel is objectively verging on evil.
Yeah.
He's our dad.
Yeah.
Right? Hitler loved his dogs and they loved him. Right? Joel has done some dark shit. Joel has done some really dark shit.
Yes.
We learn it in the first game, but we learn it even more in the second game because of the shit Ellie goes and does. Mm-hmm. And how does she know what's going on? Joel told me about this once.
Exactly.
Right? I know what's happening. And if you think Ellie just goes on this functionally a murdering spree, that doesn't pop up out of nowhere. By the end of the game, just from cutscenes, Ellie's killed like 4 people. People. Forget clickers and infected.
From cutscenes, yeah.
Right? So that's like, canonically, you know? Like, they're not good guys. Yeah. And so I just feel like we shouldn't have worked so hard to make Abby good. They should have worked so harder to make Abby relatable. Yeah. That was one of the big problems for me. We did spend too long with her as a kid. We did spend too long in the hospital.
That's the thing. The making...
Those flashbacks walking to the hospital didn't add anything. They were
for the 8th time.
Well, what were they for? We didn't get anything. Like, I get okay, she's constantly dreaming about this.
Yeah.
But
it was too much. It was too overdone. But like you said, your point was the best point, I think, there, where you was like, you're trying to make Abby good, whereas like in this world no one is good.
Yeah. No one can be.
And it's like you trying to make her good is just so unbelievable and so wrong in this situation.
Do you know what would have gone they should have done more with the dog.
Yeah.
Because that's where she becomes relatable.
Yeah.
Right? Having friends and having this dog. Don't try and make her look like this good, wholesome character. Because we don't believe it. But the fact that she helps Lev, and I forget Lev's sister's name.
Yeah.
But the fact that she helps them and they sort of grow to become friends. Okay, cool. This is a human being that ultimately wants there to be good in people.
Yeah.
She loves this dog loves her, cool, that's relatable. She has friends, great, that's relatable. Why did she go after Joel? Because Joel killed her dad. All of that's relatable. Don't then try and make her this like paragon of good because I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Ellie's not, and we love the shit out of Ellie.
Yeah.
So
that was their mistake in that one there. And then the only other mistake, and it's not really a mistake in my opinion, I believe it's part of that whole forced perspective, the forced idea that you're trying to impose onto me rather than making it impactful for me, was the ending that we've mentioned before. If the ending, and Ben, you can shut up already. I know you're already screaming, but you're wrong. It's
you
fine.
Are dumb.
You're an idiot and you're wrong. But
you're dumb. Capital B at the end.
Exactly.
Dumb.
If the ending had been a choice where she has Abby's head under the water, and then you get given a choice as a player to either continue strangling her, to kill her, to get your frustration out that you've got all along this trip, and even after the
so we can see that tweet. To date, Abby has been drowned like 10 billion times.
Oh my god, that would be so. It's like so many of you guys are fucking psychopaths. But if we had done all that, even after the whole journey of you trying to see that Abby had her reasons as well, but you still chose to continue to kill her. And then
because I have my reasons, and it's a 4-letter word, Joel.
Exactly. But then having consequences afterwards, which was what you got in the end, which was like she manages to escape, bites your fingers off, and then you lose a memory, a way to be able to play the guitar, which was a part of Joel. That would be so impactful. It's like, you chose the revenge, cool, you got that. But then you suffer the consequences, and Dina's gone, and everything's gone.
That's what we always said, innit?
And then you go home, you're like, fuck. I chose this. This is my life. Yeah. I've done this to myself. I have chills just thinking about it. Actually, just doing it
like.
And then if you do the opposite, where like you let her go, like she just goes, look, let's just stop fighting. We're done. Like you just go your way, I'll go my way. We just get where it is. And then she goes back.
Doesn't lose the fingers.
She still has her fingers. She still has her memory of Joel.
Plays the guitar.
She gets to cry over it and that actually properly grieve rather than just vengeance and thinking about that. We don't know what the situation would be with Dina here or there.
Maybe they could leave it just a slightly bit more hopeful.
Maybe, maybe it's like a goodbye rather than just being gone, something like that. But then at least you still have something that you didn't lose everything. And then you could play it again, and then you have the other version. You're like, oh my God, this was so much worse. I'm glad I did it this way before. It makes it impactful to you, rather than you going, no, I lose my memory, I lose my girlfriend, I lose my baby, I lose my dad functionally, and all the memories of him, and I let this bitch go.
And lose the ability to play music. A core part of Ellie's life is the love of music, from even when she first hears it in the game to then obviously spending those 8 years learning to play the guitar. Like,
now, I'm not saying it should be a happy ending. I'm not saying every game has to be a happy ending, and every story has to be all sunshine and roses. That's not the point. It's just that it was forced upon you, a decision you didn't want to make, and the result of that decision is still you losing everything.
Yeah.
I just feel like they would have been so much more impactful if it had been given to me the choice. I made the decision, and then I lost everything. Then that's on me.
Yeah.
Then I learn a lesson. I'm like, fuck, that was the wrong thing to do. Yeah. Not that be given to me and then be like, no, you fucked up. It's like, I didn't fucking do anything.
And also, if she kills Abby, and you choose that, then Lev can be like, Lev's in a position where he's not like fit to fight, right? Can be in a position where he's like looking at you from the boat and drifts off into like the mist or whatever it is. Yeah. And oh yeah, that's right. Blood only leads to more blood. Yeah, you killed Abby, but there goes Lev, who's gonna come Joel back. You just killed.
Yeah.
Right?
That's another thing as well. Would have been set up for part 3 as well. It just makes so much more sense to be able to give you the choice to then put that on the player. Granted, if they have a plan for part 3 or something like that, and
how are you going to top those two installations?
It's true. If you have a plan for part 3, you can't have a choice ending because it might play into the next one and then how you chose to be.
Yeah, I guess.
Of course, there's always ways to get around it. People have retconned stuff for it. Because the idea of letting Abby go isn't necessarily her being alive in the next game. It's how that affected you. All right, I didn't take the wrong way. I didn't take the wrong path. I didn't let vengeance consume me. She could die of old age or something else, or she catches an infection or something, whatever it is.
Boat turns over and they're too weak to swim and they drown.
Exactly. That doesn't play an effect into how her life ends up afterwards. But still, there's ways to do it.
Yeah, I definitely think it should have been, Y to freaking triangle to drown, circle to let up, and it should have been a choice. If you drown her, you lose the fingers, you lose your last connection to Joel. If you let her up, you keep the fingers, you get home, you play Take Me On or whatever it was again,
it was set up so well as well. The moment where you've got her under the water goes on for a few seconds, and then there's a moment where she gets up and she like breathes for a second, and she pushes her back down, and the camera goes in, and I'm like, it feels like it's going to give me a choice here that I can do something.
I feel like that maybe was on the cards at one point.
It seems like it, right? Possibly.
Yeah.
I know Ben's crying right now.
Ben's an idiot.
Ben. He is a Ben. He's a Ben.
He's a Ben. That's the problem, isn't it?
All the Bens.
It's the thing is, there's so much good in the game, and I feel like a couple of mistakes with Abby, like one, like the muscular thing. It's not like the end of the world, but my problem with having Abby being so big is that it's clear that it's there to try and make her look imposing in comparison to Ellie. Yeah. But we don't need it. No. Like, she doesn't need to be that big to kill Joel with a 9-iron.
Yeah.
Right? And Ellie is a slip of a woman in comparison, and we believe she's every bit as tough as...
That's the thing. We already established that Ellie is as badass as anyone in this world.
She's tough as fuck.
And she's not muscular.
She's tough as coffin nails, bro.
Coffin nails.
Like, she's... so it's a little bit jarring in that sense, but it's not the end of the world to me. I couldn't care less. She's incredibly well acted. Laura Bailey is insanely talented, as is Ashley Johnson. So that's not a problem, but that's a little bit weird. I do wish we would have spent a little bit more time with their base in Washington.
Oh yeah.
Because we almost immediately go to Abby on her own, and then the scars.
Yeah.
And it would have been cool to deal with that just a little bit more. Rather than
find out where they're keeping all those roids.
Right, yeah. Rather than spending 4 hours doing Abby as a kid and Abby in a hospital, like that, it just wasn't needed. But so many incredible moments in the game, like Ellie playing Take Me On, Take Me On, Take Me Home, Take Me On,
I think
Take Me On. Take Me On. I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
I can't remember.
We've
We've already established earlier we don't listen to music.
Also, was that also? Am I correct in assuming that was an optional area as well?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could avoid that.
It was on the side, and I remember stumbling upon it. I was like, "Wow!"
I'm pretty sure you could play the game and not hit that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how I would ever have missed it, but there is somebody that might have missed that.
Some people play the main game.
Yeah, some people don't go looking all the way through offices to. Also, by the way, if I find a thing, it's like, I left you the number. It's on the thing. I'll spend an hour looking for that.
Here we go.
Thing.
Every time I saw a safe, it's like, all right, let's find this code. Let's find this code. Where is that?
I have to. Or you find the code and you're like, all right, let's find the safe. Where's it hidden?
Here we go, boys. Here we go.
Yeah.
A lot of things this game did do very good in terms of outside of the story. I was going to say, the fights are fantastic. The step up from 1 to 2, and I'm looking, hopefully, they haven't said too much. They said they're going to add some like combat stuff to 1. I hope they add the combat stuff from 2 to 1. Take The Last of Us 2,
put it in the remake.
That's what it needs, because it was fantastic. Guys, just dodging, the being able to go under cars, laying on your back to shoot and stuff like that. The what was the guy's name?
There's Sunly and I think it's Much X or something.
Yeah, those guys that do those gifts for PlayStation. The fluidity of all of the stuff. They're being able to jump from place to place, pull out a gun, shoot. So smooth, so smooth. That needs to be in one.
So
it was
good.
A masterpiece.
So good.
Masterpiece.
Honestly, I know Horizon gets a lot of these gifts because it's so good to look at, because it's so flashy and stuff. But the combat system, the only one that I would say comes on par with it is Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
That and The Last of Us 2 have the most incredible, fluid, creative. Do you remember when Jedi Fallen Order came out and they said it's creative combat?
Yeah.
And I never really felt that. I was like, it's good combat.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel it was like there were all these incredible options open to me. The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, I would say, are pretty much that.
Yeah.
What I was expecting. The combat system's so good. Take The Last of Us, give it the Last of Us 2 combat system. The only thing this changes is verticality, and however that changes, like maybe you do need a couple more enemies or something. Yeah. And then you're good.
Yeah. That was fantastic.
Little touch as well. The game's designed to break your heart. Like if you shoot a dog handler, the dog starts crying.
So fucked up, innit? Who was the guy that's like, we're gonna really break some hearts today?
Early in the game, you're like, oh, that sucks. But then when you go through as Abby and you see the dog, and you're like, oh man, that's the dog, and it's so friendly and it loves her. And you're like, good, no. Why?
Neil Druckmann!
Right?
Why did you do this to us? No, this was a truly masterful game.
It is brilliant.
With some flaws, some blemishes, but they can be overlooked.
Yeah.
It was very, very good.
Some incredible segments as well, like the skyscraper.
Yes. I haven't played The Last of Us Part 1 since I did like the grounded run back on remastered in 2015 or something like that. Partly because I couldn't handle that intro.
Well, wait for the remake.
That's the thing. I said I wasn't going to play it because ever since then I've had Isla, and my little daughter is everything to me, and that first intro is going to hurt.
It's going to be really bad.
I think I'm going to play the remaster.
Me too.
And I'll wait for that to come out. And I think once I play the remaster, I'll go right into 2 so I can replay that for the one time as well.
That's my timeline for it as well.
I think it's probably pretty good, right?
The worst thing is we're both head over heels in love with Isla. Where, like, she's not my daughter, but she's like pretty close. I just don't get to spend as much time with her as I'd like, you know?
She's just too infectiously cute.
Yeah, I mean, I turned up, I was like 15 minutes late, and I still spent 5 minutes hanging out with Isla before we came up here. So that's going to be tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't stream that intro. Imagine just like,
I don't want to sub on camera.
Like weep like a girl, innit?
Why?
It's just,
don't do this to me.
If you haven't played it at this point, I'd say wait for the remaster.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's worth whatever it comes out at.
Yeah.
I don't care. They said what, $60 is the target.
$70.
I'll pay it.
Yeah.
Even if we were having to buy it each, I'd pay $70 for it. It's that good.
It's
and we're going to game share it with somebody.
It's on the more expensive side, but it is one of those classic, amazing stories that we don't get very often.
Game share it.
And a lot of work is being done to it. So
for 30, but functionally for 35, all day, every day.
Yeah,
so
find
good.
Find a friend.
And haptic. Oh,
let me read some thoughts from our bros in the community who wrote in, like Gams Master did, over at patreon.com/Conbrosations, to have his comments read out first. He says, "G'day, bros. Hope Eddie is over his man flu." It's pretty terrible. It's not happening. No, you don't just get over man flu. It's like, it's part of your life for the rest of life. And Shep's got a full night's sleep for once. So it didn't work out. So you just
mate, the second I get one, we're all going out to buy lottery tickets.
Hey, we're lucky, boys. My thoughts on The Last of Us Part 2 are as follows. It is an awesome game. I love the first game and the relationship between Ellie and Joel and their adventure across the inferior colony. Because he's from Australia.
Right.
There you go. He's inferior to you guys. You guys are better.
It's true.
But I enjoyed Part 2 even more. I understand everyone's hate for Naughty Dog misdirecting players, forcing us to play as Abby, but I'm really glad they did.
Yeah, I didn't mind it at all. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it like some people did. Some people hated it. And
there
were
really dumb. Well, also I feel like those people stopped.
Yeah.
I feel like most of those people stopped before getting to the end, and that's a mistake. Yeah, there were problems, but if you just go, well, I don't want to play like this. Like, up to this point, the story's been so incredible. Maybe they're doing this for a reason.
Yeah.
Overall, it was worth doing. I just wish they'd made a couple of tweaks.
Yeah. The pacing for the story feels off at times, but I really enjoyed that after going on a revenge-fueled rampage as Ellie, we switch to Abby, we get to see things from the other perspective, and I thought it was great. The idea wasn't to make people think that she was a good person, but that it was more of her story than... There was more to the story than we know as Ellie. We get to see the result of her own revenge mission and the consequences of her actions. Everything seems okay in the world now that Joel is dead and her father is avenged. She's just back to running patrols and as normal and fighting scars. But once Ellie arrives in Seattle, her whole world shifts again, with her friends dying and she meets Lev. Now she's seeing things from the enemy's point of view. And starts adjusting her view on the world and people she interacts with, just like we are playing as her. I probably haven't explained that very well without writing a full essay, but I think this game is incredible, makes me feel things I didn't know I could. Definitely not perfect, but so damn great.
Yeah,
thank you guys for writing in, bro.
I actually just remembered Lev was one of the big controversies.
Yes.
Which I totally forgot. So, I think those people just wanted to be annoyed.
Yes.
If you don't know, Lev is trans.
Yeah.
Right? Lev is a girl who presents herself to you as Lev, a boy.
Yeah.
And I don't think we ever hear Lev's girl name. Oh, maybe once.
I think at the big... the sister explains...
The sister says,
says
so,
it, right?
And
she felt different.
Right.
And that's why they kicked out from the tribe.
Right, and it was a bit confusing at the beginning because I'm like, why are they going to marry this boy off to this like old dude or something? And then you realize what's going on, right?
Yeah.
They don't make a big deal out of it, and it's very much a case of like, if they'd introduced Abby as her name being like Jessica, you just call her Jessica. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't factor in. It's a character. It's something to do with this one character that plays no major fact. It's not political in any way. It's just a thing, right? People wanted to be upset by that. Yeah. Also, I think because they'd heard that there was a trans character and that was one of the leaks, and everybody saw Abby and they were like, well, that's obviously it.
Yeah.
Whereas she just looks like any of the CrossFit girls you can see on Instagram. Like, the most unrealistic thing in the game isn't that Lev is... Lev's his name, right? Yeah. It's not that Lev is trans. It's that everybody thinks Abby could maintain that doing a trek to Montana and back. There's no way she's maintaining
with
that
only
mess.
The supplies in her backpack, right?
Like some seeds. Are you kidding me?
Granola bar.
There's no way she's maintaining that mass. That's the big deal, isn't it? But you know, like, people just wanted to be upset by stuff like that, and it wasn't a big deal at all. I just remembered that. I mean, I thought Abby was good. It was all good.
No, it was. I liked Abby. I just didn't like, as I said, the idea. You say it here that it was like, it's not that they were trying to get us to see her as a good person. I felt like they were trying to get us to see her a little bit as a good person. Like it seemed like she did the evil thing of killing Joel.
Yeah.
Which, granted, is more evil to us because we know who Joel is.
Because we love Joel.
But she did the evil thing with Joel, and then she just went back to to being life. Then
I think. Yeah.
Even Ellie isn't like that. Ellie's killed people and it's fucked her up. She's scarred. She's a different person. She's not a nice person. Joel, exactly the same way. It's just that they made Abby completely different. It's like, you just did this psychopathic thing and you've gone to being normal.
They should
and then try and tell us like everything. Oh, it's because I'm the good guy. That's why.
Yeah, they should have made her a believable a person, not a good person.
Yes.
And I would have liked to have seen like a nightmare where she wakes up with, I forget the dude's name that she's seeing, and like confides in him that she dreamt about the hospital, something like that, so we can see the damage that it did. But I mean, other than a couple of little things like that, overall it was good. People just like to be upset in it.
Yeah.
It's such a good game. It's totally worth playing.
Let's kick it over to our boys over in Discord.
Yeah, boy. BS Bro 1 hashtag Herogasm Streamcast. Absolutely not.
No,
says, The Last of Us 2 didn't shake up gaming, Ainsley. That's all he says on that. Diogo hashtag The Boys Season 3 Streamcast. What are you guys on?
I don't understand. What is... You talking about us, boys?
I mean, this is technically Season 2 of Streamcast anyway. You guys are like well ahead.
Well ahead.
I'm counting every time we take a long extended break as a new season.
There you go.
Overall, I enjoyed The Last of Us 2, but whereas I loved The Last of Us 1 throughout, The Last of Us 2 is more uneven. Early day 1 is peak, day 2 is mostly alright, day 3 is mostly alright. Mostly not a fan of how day 2 and 3 is Ellie alone. Flashbacks were peak, flashbacks were incredible. By the way, I cannot tell the difference between the days at this point, I don't remember.
Yeah, kind of blurred.
Yeah. Abby day 1 is absolute shit. Day 2 is good, day 3 is amazing, not the Ellie fight. Loved the epilogue in the farm, but hated the Santa Barbara section as it felt tacked on. So it's a massive roller coaster for how I enjoyed it for me. So I kind of get you. It feels like the game's supposed to end at the farmhouse and then we go to Santa Barbara. I didn't mind Santa Barbara, but again, I think if we'd got that choice, it would have been like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But without that choice, it feels like tacked on because she could have just stayed there and it's a net same result.
Exactly, net same result. The only thing that happens at the end is that you lose Dino.
Right.
Yeah. And again, it's not a choice that you're going out there. So again, it's like
exactly
forced upon you. It's being done like that. Giuseppe writes in, he says, The Last of Us 2 was great in my opinion. Great story, awesome gameplay. I'm probably in the minority here, but Abby's part was not bad. At first, I hated her, but then the more the story progressed, the more my opinion changed on her. I understood her part of the story and what she went through. Imagine living in such a period, going through all of that stuff. Ellie and Abby share about the same burden. Yeah, ish. Yeah. She is in a bit of a better position, I would say, than Ellie.
She's in a much better position than Ellie. Generally speaking, like they just have a much more prosperous place,
and also Ellie has the burden of I am the cure.
That's absolutely
a big burden.
She knows, only her and Joel know this thing, and it can't be done now because of something that was out of her control. Our big thing really with Abby is that they tried too hard to make her a good person. They should have, like, they never tried to make Ellie a good person, even as a kid, right? Like at the beginning, she starts off as a burden, and then she shanks that one guard for you, and you're like, I like this kid.
Yeah. You got moxie.
Yeah. You got chutzpah. You know, and hummus. You got the chuz, you know? And then you sort of grow to have this relationship.
Yeah.
And it's not because she's good or because Joel's good. In fact, you can argue that neither of them are at their best, neither of them are good.
Yeah.
You know, they just look after their own. And that's what we should have seen more from Abby, not trying to make her good. Like, I get that we had to give her a reason for wanting Joel dead. That's cool, I get it. Revenge, it's a good enough reason. That's why we're doing this whole game. But don't try and make her a good person as well. Just make her a person, make her capable, make her someone that is trusted, that trusts people, that has friends, and does dark shit to keep them safe. Yeah. That's why we love Joel, you know? Yeah. Like, in the car ride in the first game, where Joel realizes they're in a trap. How do you know? Because I've been on the other side of this. You immediately know he's murdered people. Yeah. Like straight up cold blood murder. You know that. do you hate him do you love him any less?
Yeah.
No, of course you don't. Because
there was a few people that tried to so that while there are idiots on one side of this story where they're like they wanted to hate The Last of Us for stupid reasons,
right.
There were some people that wanted to make those people look so dumb that they went overboard and made dumb accusations.
Joel deserves to die because he's the sort of guy that would go to putt golf and tear up the AstroTurf.
They tried to villainize Joel.
No.
And I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah, no.
Like, Joel's a terrible person. I'm
Absolutely.
Like, we know. And it's like, yeah, so he deserved to die. It's like,
No.
okay, all right. Look.
Not if he's my neighbor. Not if he's the guy that's got my back. I want that guy to be on my team.
And I'm like, you just gone.
He trades. We trade coffee for my Mrs. Keeps bees because it's a post-apocalyptic world. I give him honey. He gives me coffee.
Yeah.
You know, he taught me how to ride a horse.
So
he saved
dumb.
my life that one time from that clicker. Like, you don't care about that other stuff.
So dumb. So dumb.
It's like these guys have never watched a Western.
No.
Because that's all this is, but instead of bandits, it's infected.
Yeah.
You know? And instead of like Mexico or Mexicans or whatever it is, it's other villages.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's a Western. Like, have you never seen one? Have you never seen like a freaking Clint Eastwood movie before?
Yeah.
He's often not a good guy, but he's still the protagonist. Like, what are you...
I just love the way that they flipped on Joel on a dime.
Yeah.
For no reason as well. For like, they didn't even know. They were like, well, now actually, yeah, Joel is a villain and we all hate him. It's like...
You're an idiot. We knew he was not a good guy. He was our guy. That's the difference.
Exactly.
Dear kids. BS Bro #2 says, what's with the hashtags, boys?
He's number 2, there's a number 1, there's a number 8, I think.
I had mixed feelings about The Last of Us 2 because I want it to be more of an Ellie and Joel story, but from Ellie's view, basically the flashbacks. Oh, sorry, I get that. He wanted to play mostly as Ellie, but getting more flashbacks with Joel.
Right.
Cool, got you. I also got spoiled before I got to play the game, so I never knew what my actual thoughts would be. That really sucks.
That sucks.
The game still managed to break me emotionally. I didn't touch my PS4 for a week. Then I replayed the game and platinumed it. I actually like Abby. She's kind of a bitch, banging her friend's boyfriend, killing someone because they killed her dad, then getting pissed when someone gets revenge, killing her friends to get her. But her character changes a lot when she gets captured and is a slave for 2 years, I think. Is it 2 years?
I think it's 2 years.
It's a long time, yeah. Losing all them gains.
she lost them.
Yeah. Lev is her moral compass, her canary, like Huey is to Butcher, #HeroesGasm Film Cross. I've never heard of those people, and they sound kind of shit. But yes, Lev is her canary, her moral compass. And that's another cool thing about Lev. Lev's kind of like her Atreus.
Yeah.
He comes in really useful, and it's not quite an Abby, an Ellie and Joel thing, but it's another like someone looking after this kid. Except she's much more accepting of Lev, whereas Joel's always acts for like the first 3/4 of the game acts like Ellie's just this weight that he has to drag around.
Yeah.
So, which is one of the reasons that it makes it so much more rewarding when they accept each other as like a family at the end. Yeah. Whereas with Abby and Lev, because she basically accepts him and like takes him under her wing immediately, they never really had to work for it. I mean, like in their first meeting, but like after that they just team up.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Overall, good game, but God of War's better. I still find it funny that people still shit on it and try and find reasons why it's bad. It still lives rent-free in their heads 2 years later. Like, we get it, you hate it, move on. I don't talk about Smallville all day. My man.
It's because Smallville's great. How could you... I mean, what else are you going to talk
Disclaimer,
about?
that's a joke, it gets worse. I've never seen Smallville.
Fucking bastard.
Yeah, this is what I don't get, right? There's two types of people. People that played The Last of Us and people that hate The Last of Us.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Clearly those people haven't played it if they don't like it. Cause or they're just set in their mind they just want to hate something. I don't know. I don't know what to say to them, people. Tailgate writes in, he says, I really like The Last of Us Part 2. I remember when the whole game got leaked in some holes on the internet. A-holes, there we go. So A-holes on the internet saw the leaks, decided for themselves to spoil the game for people. Thankfully, I was able to avoid those spoilers and experience the game spoiler-free. What wizard shit Naughty Dog pulled.
I don't know what wizard shit.
I don't know what wizard shit Naughty Dog pulled out to make the game look as good as it does, but it actually looks amazing 2 years later. I might replay it sometime if I find my copy of it, because it's probably sitting somewhere in my family's attic, because we temporarily moved to a different apartment because our older one is being renovated. Oh, that's cool. At least you get some new shit. Anyway, okay, this is another topic.
Yeah, we'll come back to it.
We'll come back to you for that.
On that note, though, that and Ghost of Tsushima, I do not know how they got Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us 2 to run like silk over lubed up butter. It was so smooth. Right? It was so
lubed
smooth.
Up butter.
Think how slippery that's going to be.
Isn't it? Butter slippery. Lubed up butter.
Right.
Whoa.
And then you're going over with silk. Like, imagine someone put lubed butter on wooden stairs and you go down silk socks.
Ooh,
that's how sleek and slippery.
There's no chance of anything.
No. You won't even hear the.
Like, what was that gush of wind?
I played it on my day one PS4 and could only just tell it actually wasn't 60 FPS. Like, it just ran so slick and so smooth. I had one texture pop on The Last of Us 2, and other than that, both those games ran flawlessly. And then I played, I didn't play Last of Us 2, I played Ghost of Tsushima on PS5, and it is ridiculous. Yeah. It is magic.
I just remembered, they released the Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima like 3 weeks apart from each other, didn't they?
They were very close.
That was mad. That's a mad decision.
And they both banged.
They both smacked. Crazy, innit? Crazy.
And they were incredible. That's what I consider the last year of the PS4.
Yeah.
So the fact that those games came out at the end of 2019, and then 2020 is like, even though it wasn't quite out just yet, I consider it PS5.
Yeah.
What a way to cap off a
generation, right?
Generation. Like, oh my God. Like, The Last of Us finished out the PS3. Yeah. Yeah, finished the PS3. And that to end the PS4, like, it's my God.
It's good.
And like you say, there's some magic going on with. It's probably something to do with the crack and compression. The game's probably a lot larger than we think it would be larger.
Straight wizards, that's what they are. Naughty Dog do. They did it with Uncharted. When we saw Uncharted for the first time, on Nathan Drake was waking up in the water and the sand on the beach. Yeah. He was like, "This is running on a PlayStation 4?"
Yeah.
And then we're like, it's probably just like a CG cinematic. Then he gets up and he just goes into gameplay. You're like, whoa! What?
It's one of those things where, like, if you're on PlayStation, if you're on Xbox, you have no idea what this is like. But on PlayStation, you're thinking to yourself, man, I better clear myself 100 gigs. You put the disc in. No, it just starts. No. It just goes. Your 40 gigs was enough.
Yeah.
How they do it is
all kinds of greatness that are going on over there at Naughty Dog. Yeah. That's why I can't wait for their multiplayer game. I know that it's not really their forte because Factions was just shit. And
it was the wrong kind of game. Like, how are you going to play Factions when between the 7 of you can find 3 bullets?
Exactly.
Stupid.
Right? But I'm interested to see what happens here. Like, if it's going to have that classic Naughty Dog flair, it'd be really awesome.
Benny says, I finished the lot. Sorry, bro. I feel like I cut you off in the middle of a word there.
Just a millisecond, but I was done with my sentence. Don't worry about it.
Benny says, I finished The Last of Us 2. Ooh. I finished The Last of Us 2 for the first time last week. Most people seem to either think it's a masterpiece or the worst game of all time. I sit solidly in the middle of those two.
Ah, interesting.
It's a game with beautiful visuals, an outstanding soundtrack, and refreshing gameplay that easily trumps the originals. However, it completely lacks the fine-tuning of Part 1 when it comes to character writing and narrative structure.
Interesting.
I found I get what you're saying. I don't agree, but I get what you're saying. I found most of the side characters to be bland and forgettable, especially on Abby's side, with the exception of Yara.
Yara, that's it.
With the exception of Yara and Lev, the latter being a really good character, which is quite frustrating considering the interactions were part of what made the first game so great. Didn't know why I should care for someone like Manny, who didn't have a lot of personality. Yeah.
Was Manny the one that looked like Neil Druckmann?
No, that was her like ex.
Yeah. Last of Us Part 2.
As for the narrative structure, the game takes a complete nosedive in suspense after the midpoint switched to Abby's POV, which really shouldn't have happened to such an achieved writer. Yeah, I feel what you're saying. The tension goes away for the relationship based drama goes away, but the the tension with the skyscraper in the hospital, that's still there, I think. Whether you like Abby and were rooting for her against Ellie, that's literally no one, or not, seems to be fairly divisive. It worked for some people, but the fact that it didn't work for so many goes to show that they could have done a better job with writing Abby and her section. Overall, there were sections I really enjoyed. Ellie Day 1, most of the flashbacks, a few sections of Abby's POV. As mentioned before, the game has its strengths, but most of it was a disappointment to me due to how many of the characters were written. Still enjoyed playing most of it, but that was mainly for the gameplay, visual, soundtrack reasons. So I feel you. A lot of those side characters, especially Abby's side cast, were a bit thin. And I think, again, this comes back to us saying, like, we played Abby for too long.
Yeah.
Or what we played of her wasn't of enough substance. On the leaks, I know that wasn't you, as a previous comment, I did get spoiled that there was a trans character in the game. I also assumed it was Abby. As soon as you realised it wasn't her, couldn't figure out who it was.
Yeah. Until
the very end, where, like, I think Yara's lying there with a broken arm. Yeah. I'm like 20% away from finishing the game, sort of thing. And she's like, yeah, Lev was always said she felt different. And I'm like, wait, Lev's a boy. And she was going to marry this thing. And anyway, she told me she wanted to be this and started calling herself Lev. And I'm like, oh, it's Lev. Okay, cool. Anyway, and then just went on. Like, I didn't. The people wanted to be wound up about stuff.
They wanted to be. That's what
Did you find who you were looking for?
Yeah, so I sent you the message of it. It was actually Manny. Neil Druckmann tweeted out saying that, like, I know I'm handsome, but I'm not quite as handsome as the talented Alieo Eder who brought Manny to life, and it's like a picture side by side.
That's weird, because I thought the whole thing of, like, they're saying, like, oh, Druckmann put himself in fucking Abby, but that was a different guy.
The friend.
Boyfriend, yeah. So that's because that was one of the controversies.
I think that was a joke that, like, because I think Neil Druckmann does like his muscle chicks. No judgment.
I'm all about muscle mummies. Don't you worry.
No judgment over here. I mean, just maybe bang one and find out if it's your thing. I don't know. Just keep putting it all in the game just so we can see.
Right.
It's like everyone can have their kinks. But you don't need to keep showing me your kinks all the time.
If you're one of those creeps that's into feet,
right?
I don't need to see 18 shots of Ellie walking past so we can see the soles of her feet.
Right.
Like
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, Quentin. We're in a... Yeah, what is the deal with that?
Dirty feet as well. That's the thing. Not even like... Weirdo. Anyway, so that's fine. Anyway.
Why are you playing Battlefield 2042?
Am I?
That's what it says.
Oh wait, no. Do you know what it is? I turned on the PlayStation to look at the PlayStation Plus, which is launched today, and I think the game's probably running or something like that.
Okay. I was like, we're in the middle of a podcast, bruv. How unprofessional. Your KD must be going to shit.
I've got to get my numbers up, you know.
Right. That playtime, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Haran writes in, and he says, I played both The Last of Us games around a year ago. I loved part 1 despite its problems. What problems? It's a flawless game.
No. He says, I love part 1, and despite its problems, part 2 is still great.
Okay.
But I think there's no one that thinks, other than, like, and I will be upfront all day long, the combat's meh in The Last of Us 1, right? No one thinks The Last of Us 1's a bad game, right? That's universally... Right, good. Because anybody that doesn't agree, you don't get it.
I think what it is that The Last of Us 1 came out before the time of... The where there's like fake outrage and also like wokeness of dumb shit and then stupid political stuff that comes into that doesn't even need to be there. That we're unfortunately in that era where even a perfect game, even if The Last of Us come out right now, it'd be like, oh, someone's gonna be dumb about something.
Why aren't there enough disabled
dogs?
Why aren't there dogs in wheelchairs?
Something really stupid. Okay. So let me read that again. I love part 1, and despite its problems, part 2 is still great. Firstly, the gameplay of part 2 is better than 1. If was mainly... It was mainly minor changes. The visuals and graphics are fucking gorgeous, and Gustavo Santaolalla soundtrack hits hard when it has to.
Oh, the music in both of those games is incredible.
Quality. I just think about? I don't know if this guy was responsible for this, but the deafening silence when Joel gets killed. It's like that. And that's all you can hear.
So loud.
And then there's like this muffled bit, that voice that comes back afterwards. Like,
yeah.
Oh.
The only time silence has been that loud, there's another point in this duo of games right after the intro. How loud?
It's like you can only hear his voice. We're like, no.
I just...
Fucking terrible.
I always appreciate a good use of silence, because it's so underappreciated. Everybody tries to pack in like awesome sound effects, like Forza.
Yeah.
Use some silence. Turn the freaking game off, Alpha. Yeah.
I tried to teach my girlfriend as well. Like sometimes silence is really good.
It's golden, isn't it?
And she's just like, I don't understand it. I'm like, for fuck's sake. In regards to the narrative, it's insane how ballsy Naughty Dog went with it, and I respect that they told the story they wanted to tell. I think that Ellie's story was very good from the beginning to end. The flashbacks with Joel were very good in the build-up with the emotion and elaborating on her relationship with him. Seeing her get consumed by revenge was very well done, and especially once you think about in the second half of the game when you realize how fucked her morals are and how far she's willing to go. I'd say that Abby's story in Seattle was the weakest part of the game. I think the concept of her backstory and how Day 3 showed us she was a decent person was a very good idea, but maybe the execution was a little bit off.
Agreed.
That's where it went. Firstly, I didn't really care about the relationship with Owen.
Owen, that's the Brez name.
There we go. That's the guy that's also into muscle.
Can you pick
chicks.
a whiter name? Ted. Theodore.
Oh, that's a white name right there. That's a white name.
Alfred.
Derek.
Derek, yeah. Come here, Barry. Look, there's clickers down there.
Oh, let's get them clickers, shall we? Owen. And her flashbacks with him kind of fucked with the pacing, in my opinion. Her relationship with Yara and Lev was very good, and that side of her story was superb. However, I think the weakest part is when it came to her and the rest of the WLF side of the story when dealing with Ellie. While it's established that the WLF people that killed Ellie were her friends and shit, they weren't really focused on too much. So the part where Abby finds Ellie didn't have as strong as an impact as it could have. Also, Ellie's boss fight was BS.
Yeah.
Oh, the Ellie boss fight.
Where Ellie is the boss fight. I will say that really rubbed me the wrong way for two reasons. One, I felt like at this point in the game, I didn't like the fact that we were playing Abby against Ellie.
Yeah.
The other thing is that she was very clunky, and I hope that will get an update, but she moved in a very weird way. It wasn't very fluid, like because you could see her when you're listening, and she doesn't walk like a normal person.
Like Mr. X.
Yeah, it was weird.
I think it's telling that they clearly didn't do a good job of what they were setting out to try and make you relate to Abby to be like a decent person and reason for stuff. If when it came to the point where you were going to fight Ellie, that you didn't even feel a minuscule of like this is the right decision.
See, my thing with it is I wanted to feel like as Abby that suddenly, because we love Ellie, right? And the stuff we've done as Ellie, we know how tough this chick is. I wanted to feel like that could have been the Rat King on the other side. I wanted that level of fear. I wanted Abby to feel like she was being stalked by a lion that could hide in shadow. Like a Black Panther in the shadow. And you couldn't see it until you look and the light catches its eyes and then it pounces on you. That I feel would have been really good for Ellie, and the boss fight just wasn't so good. It should have been a hard boss fight as well.
There is another part of that. So it's like while you're playing as the character, you can sort of like tilt the camera up so you can see over ledges that you shouldn't be able to see over. And I felt like I was always one step ahead of Ellie because I could see way more than anything. Whereas I don't know if they maybe needed to make the camera tighter.
Tighter. You shouldn't have been able to get over it, and you shouldn't have had much stuff that you could vault over. Yeah. So you should have been like waiting. You pop around the corner and there's Ellie, but she's ready and you weren't quite, you know.
Because Ellie could set up traps as well, and I was like, that's a really cool idea. It's just that I can see these traps coming, and also it takes her 45 minutes to set up a trap.
Right.
You could bend the rules and be like, she just puts down a trap straight away and walks away, because it adds to her being more cunning and more like...
Or, for example, you know how sometimes, I forget what they were called, but those... what they call the ones that would like hide in the door frames and then come and get you, the sneaky enemies. I forget what they were called. They had a name. There were sneaky ones. You'd see them in the door frame and then they'd back off.
Oh, were they like they didn't like the light?
Yeah, it was something like that.
I forgot what they were.
Well, you could have that where you see Ellie sort of like low down crouching, run across the door frame. You go through it, tripwire. That's what she did. Like, that would have been easy. Much
more planned stuff like that, rather than just a slightly more advanced AI.
Well, right,
but not even that much.
It wasn't very, and she moved really clunky. And also the thing is, Ellie's whole thing is that she isn't trying to go toe to toe with like full-size dudes or bloaters, right? Because she's been in this as a kid, like where Abby gets into it older when she joins the WLF. Ellie's been doing this stuff because she's sort of more like hood rat, street smart kind of thing. So she's grown up knowing she wasn't anywhere near as strong as everyone else, which is why she jumps that guard from the back and shanks him in the neck. That's Ellie's fighting style. And so that would have been really cool to see this like quick, sneaky, cunning like wolf going up against like the lioness that is Abby, but it doesn't want to get into a hand-to-hand fight, wants to set a trap, and then like when she's got, shank her in the back. That really burned me up. It's a lot to ask, but I kind of feel like maybe you shouldn't have put it in if you couldn't get it right.
Yeah, they should have. Now, everyone makes mistakes, and this is a thing.
And still, overall, I loved the game.
Exactly,
overall.
Still a lot to love in this game. But that just kind of shows you that this was clearly the wrong call. Let me continue with this.
Oh, sorry, just to add to that, because what we're going to get to, the friends are a big problem. The only one that has, there are only two, in my opinion, that have any significance. The dog, Lucy, I want to say.
Something like that.
And that one chick who's pregos.
Yeah.
And that's not because of the chick, it's because she's pregnant.
Yeah. You feel a bit more because you're...
I mean, look, if you're pregnant and you go and kill Joel, you aborted that baby. It might have taken you a while, but you did that.
You didn't do it the way of the coat hanger, we get it. But you did it yourself, you did it.
So, but like, and that also, that weighs on Ellie, and I like that. But the rest of them, I didn't really care when they died. You know, and I think it is Manny. About all we get of him is, I think he's the dad of that kid, and he shares a burrito with some old dude.
Yeah.
But like, I don't care you killed Joel. I'm going to need to see a lot more of you doing other stuff for me to care at all. So, yeah, I'm with you. I definitely get you there.
Yeah. Killing their friends with BS. He says, finally, so yeah, it's brilliant gameplay, visuals, and soundtrack. And while the story was was obviously divisive, you can still tell that Naughty Dog put a shit ton of effort into this game and was produced to the highest quality.
Yeah. If this is the bar for bad games, we're gonna live in a golden world,
right?
Suddenly cars start hovering, and you know, like
if people out there who hated this game are like, this is an example of a bad game. Well, shit, if this is as bad as it gets, then we're doing good. This
game is trash. Let me show a couple masterpieces. Okay, what have you got?
Let's get going. All right. Yes, I just wanted to talk about that. I thought it'd be quite fun to talk about The Last of Us for a little bit. Last of Us Part 2 for its anniversary. Especially because Part 1's coming out not too long now.
Yeah, the remake is coming out in
September.
Yeah, like a handful of months. 3 months.
3 months.
Which is going to be great. And the show's due like early next year, right?
Yeah, something like that.
How are you feeling about the show? I know a lot of people are burnt up that... is it Pedro Pascal? Yeah. And I forget the girl's name that plays Ellie. Don't look right. I don't really care.
Nah.
I'm not too fussed about that. I'm more worried about how well they do the role. Yeah. And like, Joel's a dude from like South Texas. He could like, he's white in the game, but like he could easily be Mexican or mixed. Is that, you call it? That's still mixed race, isn't it? If you're like half Mexican, half white. Yeah. He could easily be one of those. For all we know, he speaks Spanish anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't care less about that.
I never saw him as like When I think pure white, I think like a senator or something like that. Even though senators don't have to be pure white as well, but that's what I don't see Joel like that.
No, I don't see Joel wearing those Nikes with the white socks pulled halfway up his shin.
Yes, I don't see him.
And that's what white is. Yeah, it doesn't matter what color your skin is. That's white as fuck. You know,
black guy does it. It's like, man, you white as fuck. All right, so that's that right there. Thank you everybody for writing in. You guys are all legends. Yeah, I hope that was a good conversation. I hope you guys agreed with, or it doesn't matter whether or not you did or agree with us or not. We are correct.
We're correct. Exactly. True gamers. We own the podcast. We own the copyright.
Exactly. Our next topic. All the Final Fantasy games are coming. All of them. All of the Final Fantasy games. That. So this actually should have been mentioned on the last episode because it happened just before the podcast went live, but I didn't have enough time to look over it, so whatever. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was announced, which is the Final Fantasy VII
Remake Part 2.
Remake Part 2, exactly. That's what it's called. I don't know why it's called Rebirth. I don't care about Final Fantasy games. I've never really cared about them. Yeah, because Square Enix, right? They just were like, Rebirth. Reasons.
Final Fantasy VII Retrograde Mirror Image Part 3.21.
Right. This proper Kingdom Hearts shit here. The name is just so strange. Anyway, everyone who's really excited, aka Jas, if you're
right,
who's excited for Final Fantasy games, you guys are going to get that. Still exclusive to PlayStation 5.
But bro, and there's no games. Sony really needs to up there.
PlayStation have no games. And weirdly, so this is the controversial part, Final Fantasy Remake Part 1, still exclusive to PlayStation 5. There was a tweet that went out to say that the exclusivity contract was to end 1 year after the release of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
That time has come and passed.
Oh, yeah.
And still no announcement for Xbox, which makes it seem like there's no plans to ever bring an Xbox version.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that way, does it?
Some people are really pissed by that. I mean, a lot of Xbots, the toxic people and whatnot, they're all crying on Twitter. They're like, "Fuck it, we're not supporting Square Enix games anymore. We're not supporting Square Enix games anymore because they're not supporting us." I'm like, it's not. You don't have the option to. You can't buy the game, so how could it?
And you can't even complain. You can't even say, "What, is my money not good enough?"
Because
you're not paying.
You're not giving any money. That's the reason. Honestly, I do think that's part of the reason. That
I think it's definitely a consideration, yeah.
The MPD numbers show that Xbox gamers buy far fewer games than any other platform. Yeah. So it's probably Square Enix looking at their internal numbers. They're like, look, this game came out a year and a bit ago, whatever it is. Our projected numbers are going to be in the tens of thousands. Yeah. Why would we bother? Goodbye.
Yeah.
And then PlayStation's clearly treating them well enough over there that they go, okay, we'll make the next one exclusive as well.
The money from Microsoft's maybe not worth it. Or it's one of those things of like, it might not be worth it to them. This is probably what I would... If I was in the position where, this has happened, I might be looking at it and going, what is the chatter about the other games that came to Xbox?
Yeah.
And if it wasn't enough, if there weren't enough people talking about it and for long enough, and they weren't part of the passionate group, I probably wouldn't bother. Because I think games like, especially Final Fantasy, work on having a rabid fan base that can only talk about Final Fantasy. All they want to talk about. Persona's the same way, right?
Yeah.
And if the Xbox guys are not getting like so deeply invested in it, it might not be worth it for your image and for a little bit of money. That's probably a consideration. It'd be interesting to see if the Xbox guys just go rabid for Persona 5.
Yeah.
Which I feel like hasn't happened. So.
Sort of tangentially related, Final Fantasy Crisis Core, I think it's called. I don't know these games, so I'm just talking clear my ass here. Was also announced at that same event. It was a remaster, not as opposed to a remake. It looks fairly decent compared to the previous image that I saw. There's a side-by-side comparison. And it's available for all platforms, this one here. Apparently, to the chat that I saw, was like, everyone was saying, "Oh, this isn't the game that we wanted on other things."
No,
on other consoles.
Final Fantasy 9, right? 9, right?
They all got very upset about this. They were like, "We're not buying this because that's not the one we wanted." Blah 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 and stuff like that. Now, I only bring this up because You remember that leaker that we talked about called The Snitch?
Yes.
He leaked this the day before.
Yeah.
Again, the day before, he comes up and he posts it with a picture of Crisis Core, and he puts the 5 tiles there, 5 colored tiles of PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo and Steam and whatnot. And he's done this a couple times now. Like the day before, he did all of the Persona games that leaked.
Yeah.
He did all of the State of Play that leaked. Seems consistent, and he also did part 1 as well of The Last of Us, and got the release date for that before it leaked.
I just need to know that Final Fantasy 9 is coming. That's all I care about.
I will tell you that in 1 second. This guy right here, there's a theory going around. I think it's quite interesting because his leaks are all over the place. His leaks are PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, Steam, everything.
Yeah.
How does one person have this much access to all of these things? There's a theory going around that he works at YouTube, and he's somehow getting access to all of these big companies' YouTube channels. And the reason why he's not putting like more information into these tweets, and it's just like the name of the game, maybe a release date, or what platform or something like that, is because if he clicks on the video, then it's obvious that somebody's watched it or something like that, or maybe they can track IP or whatever it is.
This is very interesting. That's a very good theory. That's a very good theory.
That could be quite cool. Now, this person seems very flippant about it though, because sometimes like he posted the Crisis Core thing, and afterwards he's like, "Oh, 10k likes, you guys are the best, heart." And I'm like, are you in this for the fame, or are you what's going on? Because if you was a leaker, I'd stay quiet as fuck, right? I was like, quiet as fuck.
Also, the thing is, if you're a leaker, what's the career move?
Yeah,
because okay, maybe you start leaking stuff because you like gaming, but it's definitely going to trash at least one career.
Yeah.
When someone finds out who you are, right? Because the reason that people don't like leaks, if they want leaks, it goes to a journalist. It gets leaked. You know, this is an actual leak. So you're going to have to find a way to monetize this audience so that when you get found, because it will happen, you have like an audience that you can have cachet with, you know?
Yeah.
So that is weird, isn't it? That's odd.
Anyway, that's I just wanted to mention that bit right there. And no Final Fantasy 9 news, unfortunately. Seriously, genuinely, there's no news.
I'll be honest, I expected it. I expected it because good things just don't happen to me. Also, FF9, a little bit of Final Fantasy talk, was like one of the least successful ones because it completely departed from the standard Final Fantasy formula. It was much more fancy steampunk, and Final Fantasy is traditionally either fantasy, well, it's fantasy, and it can be like high-tech fantasy, but very rarely steampunk. And it just didn't do super well. It was so good. So good.
I mean, it's Final Fantasy. No one cares really.
Well,
about
exactly.
that.
Apart from that, yeah.
Exactly.
When I say so good, it's within the realm of like, it's still Final Fantasy. It's still a weeb game.
You know?
It's actually not super weeby, but yeah, it is still kind of a weeb game. I really love that game, man.
Look, you're a loser and your game isn't coming, okay? Just
it's true.
Forget about it.
Both of these things are true.
Move on to our next part, which is now becoming an official segment. In fact, it's becoming its own podcast. Welcome everybody to the Is God of War delayed or is it coming in 2022, guys? A podcast within a podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro Sheps.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Today we're going to be talking about God of War. Is it delayed? Because it just keeps going back and forth.
Yeah.
I feel like this needs to be a permanent segment. Give it its own title so we can talk about it every single week. David Scott Jaffe, who is the former creator of God of War series. He created the original ones. He got the news that despite the rumors going around saying that it was being delayed, his internal contact said, no, it's not being delayed. We're still coming out for 2022. That's what he heard. 2 weeks later, he goes, oh, actually, I've heard from another source, a separate source, saying that it's no longer locked for 2022.
Yep.
Not that it's been delayed, but it's no longer locked. So he goes, but my other source is still saying...
if it's not locked, then that is at least confirming that a delay is on the cards.
On the cards.
Yeah.
And he goes, his other source is still saying that it's coming 2022, so it's 50-50. And he goes, I don't fucking know what's going on.
Yeah.
And he posts that, and he goes, maybe we'll get an announced release date sometime soon, and we can all just shut it up. Anyway, after he posted that, the day after, Cory Barlog comes back from the shadows. He comes out of his Twitter retirement, because he was off Twitter for a whole bunch of time. He comes back with a picture of Kratos coming out from the shadows from God of War 2018. Yeah. Like that. And he's like, wait, what? And you're like, oh, Corey's back. Everyone's really excited. And he's all like, happy.
I'd say unfollow him because it's just all false hope.
The guy's so funny. He's just the biggest troll. Anyway, after that, the day after, he posts a picture and he goes, the Steam Deck has arrived. And he's got a picture of it, Steam Deck in the background, but he's holding a DualSense controller. And he says, but probably won't get time to play it for a while because I'm currently playing other things.
I mean, he could just be playing Naughty Dog stuff, innit?
He could be. Could be playing anything. Guy could just be playing... The Quarry came, mate. Could be playing that.
But he's obviously not.
So, yeah, he's... Maybe he's just dev testing.
That doesn't mean that it's ready.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't.
You know?
Because, I mean, if you watch the Raising Kratos documentary, he was playing that game for years. Yeah. That didn't mean it was ready.
And that game was, like, not exactly ready until... right around the time they went gold.
It was a hot game that was coming in. It was coming in hot. Anyway, that happened there, and that's where we stand right now. We don't know. People's sources who Jason Schreier's sources still says that he still thinks it's coming out in 2022. Although Jason Schreier's lost a little bit of credibility over the years. We're just in this limbo now, where some people are saying yes, some people are saying no, and PlayStation need to get off their fucking asses and just tell us. Anyway, that's the God of War Ragnarok
Before
podcast.
we wrap that up, what do you think? Because I have said I always thought 2023. I always thought it's coming in 23. I still think it's coming in 23. Where do you land?
I'm still saying 2022. I'm still saying 2022. Okay, you don't need to stop
Rub
trying
salt
to
in the wound.
stop trying to put these. In my ear, stop trying to,
just whispering.
Feed doubt in there. I don't listen to you, Satan.
It's coming. The delay.
Shut up! No,
the voices.
No,
the voices.
So yeah, that's the conclusion of the God of War Ragnarok. Is it being delayed to 2023 podcast? Thank you very much. You can get our merch at our merch store. It just says is God of War Ragnarok delayed. That's what it says.
Is God of War Ragnarok delayed until 2023? Merch.com.
Exactly. Our next topic, Sucker Punch has listed jobs for a upcoming game, an open world melee combat game.
What could it be?
I don't know. I mean, maybe they finally took the hints that we've been throwing at them, and they're going to make an Assassin's Creed of Japan game.
Infamous 3.
That's it. That's the one. No, dude, they're making the next Spider-Man game. What are you talking about?
Aren't they doing... that's right, they're doing... And Wolverine.
And Wolverine, that's what they're making. That's what they're doing right there. It's so funny, because everyone was like, Ghost of Tsushima 2 is happening. It's like, was this a surprise?
This was not a surprise. Literally, once I finished the game, I'm like... They've obviously started on 2.
Obviously.
This is one of those things, like, The Boys season 1.
Yeah.
Season 2 was officially confirmed before season 1 had come out.
Yeah.
Same with The Witcher. Obviously. The only thing I don't know is what it's going to be called, i.e. is it Ghost of Japan? Are they sticking with Ghost? Are they sticking with Tsushima?
Yeah.
But, like...
That's the only thing.
Duh!
Yeah.
Like, really? Are you kidding? Of course, obviously.
Dumbasses. Our next topic, this is Halo Infinite's details. So the roadmap for Halo Infinite for the next couple of years has been allegedly leaked. Take it with a pinch of salt. It's not like they have to stick to this, especially because of how far out it seems to go out. Things can change very, very easily. So I'm going to read it as it's written here from the Reddit post.
I just want to put this in because I have no idea what's coming.
Go on.
When another game, like God of War or Horizon or Ghost of Tsushima, puts out their roadmap, to me, that is the quality of like a Google Maps satellite image of where they're going. This feels like, do you remember that map you had as a kid with the roads on it that you'd drive cars on?
Yeah.
It feels like that. That's the quality of roadmap that I feel for these guys. So
that's what it feels like, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
So it says, coming up, you have 2 OG maps. So OG maps from Halo 3 and 4, they said.
Why 4?
Or was it 2 and 3? Sorry, 2 and 3, my apologies.
Because I wouldn't consider 4 an OG game.
Which they're going to use in a 60-plus player battle royale, which will come in fall 2023 at the earliest. Over a year's time, that's when this battle royale...
To take an old asset. And the one thing for me is that I'm trying to think which map would hold 60 people without needing massive changes, and I can't think of one off the top of my head. It needs work, obviously.
Right. I guess they're just trying to bank off of nostalgia and try and update it, maybe try
obviously, because they haven't made anything good since Halo 3, so
that's what they're being criticised for. But 2023 before
it
the
really
Battle Royale comes out.
I really feel like it shouldn't take that long.
Yeah, especially because the game's not in a good place right now.
It's really not. Can it survive? Well, Microsoft can foot any build they want, but I just feel like the game will not be. Although what they might be doing is hoping that it dies down and they can basically relaunch.
Like, not have the heat on them, innit?
Yeah, let the game go away and come back. An all-new Halo Battle Royale. Yeah. 60... I assume it will just be Spartans to begin with, but they could use elites as well. 60 Spartans, 1 map. You know these maps from blah, blah, blah. You know.
Yeah.
That world premiere.
Campaign DLC after 2024.
What's the point?
Also, 4 years after the launch of the game?
That is not okay. And is it me or has it changed? But the best thing anybody said about that campaign is that it's the best 343 Halo.
Yeah.
That's still the kindest words I've heard on it. Why even bother?
Yeah. Apparently it says, fighting endless on the varied world. Joe Staten is fully in charge of this. Forge, sooner than expected, he says here. Really relying heavily on the community. Also some kind of big potential controversy. Doesn't mention what it is here.
And when?
It's sooner than expected.
That's such a cop-out.
Innit?
And sooner than expected, like... One of the things that made the Halo so great, the OG Halos, was that you had the community, just people that loved the game that could then build something and everybody could play on it.
Maybe that's what they're banking on now.
But that should have come out with the game.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is they're banking on Forge coming out now. That's probably the thing they're going to get working straight away, so that they can quietly work on everything else in the background. Now, will it work? Will people still care? Who knows? Who knows?
I mean,
we'll see. And also, will Forge be any good?
Yeah,
it's possible they bring it out on like everything else they've brought out. It's just
It just needs to work and then get out of the way of the user base, because it's just like the GTA custom maps. You've seen all those weird maps people make. Yeah. People love to do that stuff, and there are people that love Halo more than GTA, and they'd rather do it there.
Yeah.
It should have come out when the game came out.
Yeah. Multiple seasons, it said. Season 6, new non-Spartan core, non-elite plus weapons. Season 5 will bring vehicles and weapons from classic games. Season 4 will bring infection. Season 3 will have new gun community, a new gun, the community is speculating. Season 3 probably in about 6 months. Not interested. I personally am not interested.
Infection's a cool game mode.
Is it okay?
We played it on COD. Basically, it's a one-sided dodgeball.
Oh, okay. That was very fun.
Yeah, it's good COD.
So I imagine it'd be quite fun in this. Then that'd be quite cool. Corporate gridlock is really slowing stuff down. It says apparently 343 is still trying to figure out how to do a live service with no idea. They've released the game. The game is 2 years. That's
just a problem that you come into contact with in 6 weeks in.
Yeah.
You know, we've been planning this out. We really can't figure it out. We should maybe hire an expert. Yeah. We should send someone to Bungie or something, right? Someone we have good relationships with, Epic, you know, and see if they can give us some ideas. Yeah. That's not something that you do 2.5 years after the release. That's okay.
And then there's a personal
safe jobs, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The safest jobs. And there's a personal comment here. It says apparently at 343 they're doing a lot of trend chasing, which is there's like a major feature of Halo Infinite that he believes is a waste of time. I imagine that means a bit like how Fortnite does a lot of trend chasing and stuff like that.
Oh, I mean, Fortnite's got everything relevant in it.
Everything.
You know.
But it can be adapted to be that way. I don't see Halo it'd be that sort of like
Kratos in a Halo thing doesn't make sense. John Wick in Halo doesn't make sense.
No.
You know, that's the great thing about, and one of the reasons that Fortnite is so big and so successful, and it works even if you don't like it. It does work.
Yeah.
Because it's just cartoony figures. So all they have to do is chuck in skins. You know.
Yeah.
It's not going to make sense for John Wick to be running around trying to fight like elites and brutes and stuff. You know.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the dire state it looks like of Halo Infinite. That's not looking too great right now.
Not hopeful.
Not hopeful.
Another very boring, very well expected Xbox L.
Exactly.
But hey, man, Sony had better watch out with all these exclusives that they have to play.
They're so lined up. There's so many of them, right? And the final thing I'm going to talk about, Sony apparently set to reveal a bunch of new hardware. 3 new wireless headsets, something called in-zone headsets, H3, H7, and H9. A wireless version, a wired version, and then the premium top one, which is the most expensive, of noise cancelling, 3D spatial awareness with all of them. It's all really cool and stuff like that. The idea is that they're supposed to have like exclusive features for PlayStation built into them, although we don't exactly know what they are. It's probably something to do with that ear tone mapping that they have and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. And then also apparently they're going to come out with 2 monitors as well that are like specific for gaming and PlayStation and whatnot. And I kind of like the idea of companies who can make monitors and make consoles, because then sort of like mesh together quite well. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be great, but we'll see.
Sony... Well, they make great TVs.
That's the thing. They make great TVs. So if it was any old company, I'd be like,
right. If it, I mean, I was going to say Samsung for some random reason, because I was thinking of other good screens, and Samsung makes good screens. But like Microsoft, like, we're coming up with our own thing. That might be an L, and that's not because I'm beefing on Microsoft, but that's just not a product Microsoft makes. Sony has always been a tech company that ended up making the consoles. Yeah. You know, so. I mean, we're running on Sony cameras. Yeah. Sony's in the discussion. I know the big discussion is like Nikon and Canon. Yeah. But like Sony's in that discussion. They make incredible cameras. They make incredible TVs. They make good hardware. So
yeah. Apparently, the 2 monitors they're going to make a 4K one, but 1440 hertz, 144 hertz.
44 hertz. That's a lot of hertz
right there. And a full HD one that can go 240 hertz. So both of them apparently.
I'm so stupid. I'm looking at it like, the 240 hertz is the clear winner. There's no need. It doesn't make sense. It's just my constant chasing of FPS, which after about 60 you can't.
How far are we going?
There are a lot of people that say after 38 you can't really see the difference. You can tell, but you can't see it. Right. Like you can feel it, but you can't see it. I need 1,000 FPS. You know?
They were supposed to have all kinds of like HDR functions in here, HDR 400 and 600, all the good stuff. Yeah, it seems very interesting. I can't wait to see some more about that.
Yeah, it'd be cool, especially now the PS5 does the variable refresh. Yes, that's a big deal.
Yes, and I'm pissed I can't.
The only
console.
Can't even
try that. The only console that can do it.
Yeah.
I'm pissed I can't even.
No, that would be cool. I was going to say I want to try it, but I'm running it on a regular HD TV. It won't do it.
Yeah, I can't. Even my OLED can't do it for some reason. I'm like, this is... come on. It's an old OLED. What can I expect? Anyway, that's all the stuff we have to talk about today on the True Gamer podcast. Guys, thank you so much for writing in. Oh, wait, there was actually one question, wasn't there, from...
Was it Tailgate?
Was it Tailgate? It might have been. Yeah, it was Tailgate. Here we go. Anyway, so yeah, let's just... Tailgate's question quickly. Anyway, here's a fun topic for what games have you guys just now started for the first time? I recently started playing Plague Tale Innocence properly. I have played it a while ago and then dropped it when it dropped on PS Plus. But I couldn't get into it, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm on chapter 3. So you couldn't get into it first, but then you went back to it, and now you're really enjoying it. That's cool. And the story is really captivating, and I love the art style looks of medieval paintings. Here is the fact... Here's a fact. The Black Death is estimated to have killed 30 to 60% of Europe's population at the time. Yeah, it was a fucking nightmare. It was bad. It was bad.
It was rough.
I've never had a game actually that went to first time, didn't like it, and then picked up the second time. And
I know I've had that, but I can't remember what it was.
Do you know what's something really interesting? So the PlayStation Plus collection drops, right? For us in Europe, so it's the last place. If you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber, go check it out. There's all new games that you can play now. There's a bunch of games on there that I bought to put in my backlog, and I was like, I'm gonna play this one day, like Arkham City. I was like, I'm gonna play that.
City is not very well regarded.
Is it not?
No, I think it's got the best soundtrack, but that's about it.
I thought I heard City was the great one. My apologies.
That's weird. It might be, or maybe I got that wrong.
All of them were on there anyway, and I was like, cool, I'll buy that, and I bought the game, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna keep that for the day that I'm gonna replay it. And now it's on the collection. I'm like, god damn it.
I do that. I'm the guy that would buy GTA 5 and then it goes free the next day. You know, that's me.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, though, I haven't finished Plague Tale.
Neither have I.
And I need to, and I've been looking for something to play. I might just finish that up because the only thing that keeps me away from it, I just had it just now when I was thinking about it. Amicia. Shut up, Hugo. Fuck.
Fucking Hugo.
Fucking but I am interested in...
I hate games with kids.
They're awful.
Awful. Terrible.
That's why I think all games should take a leaf out of the intro to The Last of Us 1.
Yes.
And that's how all games should be.
Murder them straight away.
Right? That's how I think any Star Wars game, like Jedi Fallen Order, should have started with you playing as Anakin. You know how we played as Abby? You play as Anakin and you sort of set things in motion.
Set things up.
You get to be a keystone in a top tier, #1 ranked genocide.
#1 ranked genocide. That's never going to leave my mind.
That's so funny.
All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in for another episode of the True Gamer Podcast. Check us out next week. We got like 97 next week. Ooh, episode 97.
Yeah, we're getting close.
If you have any ideas for 100, hit us up. Well, because I haven't got any ideas just yet.
Maybe we just do a half birthday stream.
Could do.
We do it live.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like this is basically live. It's just pre-recorded.
Yeah.
So
that's always been a thought of mine to maybe do these like recordings live. Maybe like put them up on Twitch or something like that. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys all in the next one. See you, boys.
Much love, gamers. We need to figure this one out.
We'll get some mannequin arms, and then we just.
That's the way to do it.
People are like, why'd you just have random mannequins?
When you said, I totally heard Anakin, and so I thought of like Darth Vader's hand, Anakin arms. I don't know why you said mannequin arms.
Yeah.
So I heard Anakin arms, and I was like, oh yeah, you just take Darth Vader arms and bump.
Take some Darth Vader arms off.
Yeah, like the full glove, and yeah. Don't know why I heard that, because obviously it's mannequin, but I heard Anakin arms. Dumb.
All right, bros. Catch you in the next one because we're weird.